Chapter 1263. Demoniac Marks. Yuan Fei, who did you come with? Asked Lin Feng. There were so many powerful groups in Shuiyu, and all of them had brought cultivators of the top of the Zunqi layer. Even the strongest young cultivators from the Bahuang province hadn't come alone. It was too dangerous. My dad, said Yuan Fei, pointing at a big and muscular man. He looked as strong as Yuan Fei. My dad and a few old apes. The middle-aged man looked at them, smiled and nodded at Lin Feng. Lin Feng waved at him. Yuan Fei's father was probably a cultivator at the top of the Zunqi layer, and the people he brought were also probably incredibly strong. Lin Feng, if we really find historical remains, you'll have to be careful. All those people want some treasures. Initially, my family didn't want to come, but I wanted to come and have some fun, so they followed me, warned Yuan Fei. Lin Feng was alone, so even if someone killed him, who would protect him? I'll hide far away, said Lin Feng jokingly. But he took Yuan Fei's words seriously. Having Emperor Wu Tianjian's sword didn't mean he could do anything he wanted. Hehe, look how everybody is practicing cultivation. We should do the same, said Yuan Fei, sitting down on a small hill and closing his eyes. Lin Feng closed his eyes too and practiced demonic cultivation and studied his 81 swords, holy marks pattern. Lin Feng could only use 3 types of abstruse energies to create sword skills and techniques so far. He wanted to add a 4th one, but it was too difficult. However, pure abstruse energies alone didn't have such an explosive power when compared to fusing them together. Some time passed and still nothing happened. At that moment, an older Zun cultivator of the Qi clan suddenly opened his eyes and walked towards the group of the Wen clan and said, The Wen clan have been preparing for so many years, and you even sent people here first using the Tiansu teleportation portal. An older Zun cultivator of the Wen clan also opened his eyes and looked in the direction of the Qi clan's site. Back then, in Tiansu town, when the images appeared in the sky above the Tiansu teleportation portal, the Qi clan was present. They had seen the historical remains, and now they wanted to make things move along faster. You must have the ancient broken space mirror as well, right? Said the older Zun cultivator of the Wen clan, smiling coldly. The older Zun cultivator of the Qi clan coldly stared at him. That bastard. Indeed, he had the ancient broken space mirror. The ancient broken space mirror is a peerless holy weapon. If the emperor doesn't use it himself, with your strength, you still should be able to release half of its power and break that hard earth easily, said the older Zun cultivator from the Wen clan. The older Zun cultivator from the Wen clan is right. Since the Qi clan has brought the ancient broken space mirror, why hide it and make everybody wait? Said an older Zun cultivator of the Sikong clan. If the Qi clan isn't willing to use the ancient broken space mirror, I don't mind pushing them a bit, said a Zun-level beast from the bestial imperial palace. Please do use the ancient broken space mirror, said the Zun cultivator of the Wen clan, smiling devilishly. Since it's that way, why not? Said the Zun cultivator from the Qi clan. Everybody was staring at him now. He had no choice but do something. Everybody stood up. They were going to start. The older Zun cultivator from the Qi clan rose up in the air above the area, which was impossible to pierce through, and an ancient mirror appeared in his hand. The space around the mirror instantly became distorted. Bzzz. The sky shook violently as the mirror became gigantic. Its reflective side was facing the ground, and energies emerged from it. Go! Shouted the older Zun cultivator of the Qi clan. An incredible amount of abstruse energies surrounded the mirror, and it became golden and dazzling. Slash slash. There were no explosions, only crackling sounds as a hole appeared in the ground. Nobody knew how deep it was, maybe 100 meters, while the diameter of the hole was a few dozen meters. Bzzz. People rose up in the air, and many people looked inside. What was inside? Lin Feng rose up in the air too and looked at the hole. He didn't use his godly awareness to inspect it, because the Qi clan's ancient broken space mirror could destroy anything. Putting his godly awareness inside would have been suicidal. It's just pitch black, thought Lin Feng, staring at the hole. Yuan Fei's facial expression looked strange, and his eyes looked like fireballs. He was fixedly staring at the hole as some patterns appeared in his eyes. Those are demonic marks. Yuan Fei's fire-red eyes turned dark again. The mirror released terrifying lights once again, and another gigantic hole appeared. The older Zoom cultivator of the Qi clan frowned. That ground was really hard. He had seemingly managed to make a small dent. "Move!" shouted the cultivator furiously. The mirror rose up in the air and became even larger while releasing even more energies. "Break!" shouted the older Zoom cultivator of the Qi clan. The hole, which was 100 meters deep, became even larger. "What's that? Tungsten? Demonic marks?" The crowd was trying to identify the rock. A block of what seemed to be tungsten was uncovered. It was pitch black but diffused golden lights. There were also some marks on it, black marks, which looked like demonic holy marks. CRRR, CRRR, CRRR. The Zoom cultivator of the Qi clan continued attacking the ground with his mirror. The hole was becoming wider at quite a fast pace. It was now 10,000 meters wide. "What's that?" An older Zoom cultivator can't even break it with his ancient broken space mirror. Lin Feng looked at the mirror. He was almost scared. It was terrifying to see an older Zoom cultivator use a peerless weapon. If even part of those lights touched him, he would die instantly. The older Zoom cultivator from the Qi clan stopped and put the ancient broken space mirror away. "You saw how terrifying that thing is. Now, should we all go inside together and break that thing?" "No, really?" Then many silhouettes jumped down. They didn't need the older Zoom cultivator from the Qi clan to tell them. They obviously all wanted to go down and see. "Be careful," said Yuan Fei to Lin Feng, and then they both dived into the hole too. Then 100 meters later, they landed on the hard black substance. Lin Feng struck the demonic marks with sword qi, but it was pointless. He touched them with his hands. It felt like a cold armor. "What kind of metal is that? My sword can't even scratch it. And the ancient broken space mirror can't break it either," said Lin Feng, looking at Yuan Fei. He was wondering if Yuan Fei had already seen that. But Yuan Fei didn't know either. "It's not a metal, it's a seal," shouted someone. Did such a terrifying sealing strength exist? Chapter 1264. When Emperors Show Up, a Seal. Lin Feng was surprised. If that was a seal, it meant something incredibly powerful was hiding behind it. Even an older Zoom cultivator's peerless weapon couldn't break it. So just what was sealed inside? Does it have anything to do with the 3 lives great emperor? Thought Lin Feng. If a great emperor had cast that sealing spell, then a Zoom cultivator couldn't break it. Even if an emperor had been sealed inside, he wouldn't have been able to come out. "Qi Yun, can you continue breaking the surrounding earth? We need to see how big the seal is. It might help us understand what's inside," said someone to the older Zoom cultivator from the Qi clan. Qi Yun looked unhappy but said, "All right, I'll help." Qi Yun then continued attacking the earth with his mirror. Many strong cultivators cleaned around the dust, pebbles, and pieces of stones. The area was becoming wider and wider. Only a great emperor could have the strength necessary to cast such a powerful sealing spell, whispered Lin Feng. The distance between cultivators would be wider the stronger you got. It was as if the sealing stone had taken the entire space of the Yunhai mountain range. Time passed slowly, as only the strongest cultivators could break the walls around the hole. With the mirror, it took them half an hour to make out the entire sealing stone. "Let's go up." Some silhouettes rose up in the air to see the stone in its entirety from the sky. Lin Feng also rose up in the air and looked at that gigantic pitch-black sealing stone. It was hundreds of meters wide. The marks were all interconnected and nobody could understand them, even cultivators at the top of the Zunqi layer. In the antiquity, there was a gigantic sealing stone which could seal demonic strength. According to legends, that gigantic demon seal stone ended up in the hands of a peerless cultivator. Said a cultivator at the top of the Zunqi layer from the Sikong clan. "The demon sealing great emperor," whispered many people. They all thought of a particular name when they heard the strong cultivator from the Sikong clan talk. After sealing the demonic emperor, the demon sealing great emperor studied sealing strength and created 3,681 variants of the demon sealing technique. Then he broke the stone. Has anyone found all the pieces, so that the whole stone could be made again? As those strong cultivators were talking about the demon seal stones, Lin Feng's head started pounding. The demon-sealing Great Emperor had managed to break the demon seal stone because he was convinced he didn't need it anymore. His body was as strong as the demon seal stone, so he could seal demons using his own strength. Lin Feng lowered his head and looked at the gigantic seal. Had the demon-sealing Great Emperor those people were talking about made that seal? If that Great Emperor had done it, what had he sealed inside? At that moment, the cultivators at the top of the Zunqi layer glanced at each other. They hadn't anticipated something so incredible. The sealing Great Emperor might have sealed an emperor in there. In the distance on the Black Wind Mountain, there was an ancient tree, and on that tree, there was a Taoist monk, Yin Di. At that moment, Yin Di looked solemn and respectful. He didn't look conceited or playful. Those bastards, they found it too early, thought Yin Di. Everybody, let's try to break it together at the same time, said an older Zun cultivator from the Wen clan. Many people nodded and started releasing a terrifying strength. They were trying to activate the demonic marks, but it was useless. Very quickly, the older Zun cultivators gave up. We need an emperor to help, said Yuan Fei to Lin Feng. They hadn't thought that they would find such an incredible treasure in such a tiny country. Even normal emperors would need to be incredible to break such a thing. Lin Feng frowned. He was thinking, inviting an emperor to Shuiyu? Was that a good thing or a bad thing? If there was an incredible peerless cultivator inside, what would happen? If an emperor broke the seal, and that nobody could control the thing or person sealed inside, Shuiyu might be destroyed. Boom! At that moment, someone broke a talisman, and a terrifying Qi appeared. The crowd looked in the direction of the Qi clan. They're calling an emperor. The crowd was astonished. A part of the sky turned into a mirror, and a silhouette appeared inside. An emperor, the emperor of the Qi clan, thought the crowd astonished. The emperor looked at the ground, and he was surprised too. He just whispered, "A seal." "Indeed, your imperial majesty, maybe that the demon-sealing emperor created it," said the Qi clan in a respectful way. The emperor seemed pensive. Boom, boom, boom. The atmosphere suddenly changed. Clouds furiously rolled, and a silhouette in white clothes suddenly appeared in the air and looked at the emperor of the Qi clan. Then, the silhouette descended from the sky and landed on the seal. Soul imprint. Yuan Fei was astonished. The Wen clan was terribly interested in that treasure. Even the soul imprint of the emperor from the Wen clan was there. "It looks like the same thing Mr. Xiao did to me last time," whispered Lin Feng. The emperor of the Wen clan looked pensive. Then he raised his head and said, "Don't let anyone touch that sealed area before I arrive." His voice sounded very serious. The crowd was astonished, but they nodded back. All the powerful groups broke their talismans to inform their emperors. The Wen clan's hologram disappeared. But everybody knew that the emperors were coming. The emperors were coming to Shuiyu. Chapter 1265. Syllogistic Devamara Chain's Emperors, whispered Lin Feng. He didn't look excited. Having Zun cultivators in Shuiyu was already a problem, so emperors. Besides, only emperors seemed capable of breaking that seal, which meant that whatever was inside would be problematic. The Three Lives Demon Emperor has been here, and Yin Di was sealed here. Now another emperor as incredible as the Three Lives Demon Emperor, the Demon Sealing Emperor. 3 great emperors appeared here in the past. What is inside? Thought Lin Feng, worried. Everybody, move away from the seal and let's seal the space, said the older Zun cultivator from the Wen clan indifferently. Everybody rose up in the air and moved away. Lin Feng and Yuan Fei moved back to the edge of the crater as Yuan Fei said, "Lin Feng, the Qi clan's emperor will do something soon, so you should leave. There are so many strong cultivators. Even if those historical remains contain incredible treasures, we won't get anything." Lin Feng smiled. He understood what Yuan Fei meant. Emperors were incredible, and even if Lin Feng had Emperor Wu Tianjian's sword, he couldn't deal with emperors still. "Where could I escape to if an emperor wanted to kill me?" said Lin Feng, laughing and shaking his head. Shuiyu was a tiny country and Lin Feng was only a cultivator of the Tianqi layer. If an emperor meant him harm, he wouldn't have any say. Besides, the emperor of the Qi clan would never attack Lin Feng because of Qi Tiansheng. That would tarnish his reputation, and also, Emperors didn't really care about weak cultivators. Yuan Fei didn't say anything more. Indeed, Lin Feng posed no threat to the Qi clan, so the emperor of the Qi clan wouldn't do anything to him. Bzzz. In the distance a strong wind blew. The earth and sky were shaking as a silhouette arrived. How fast, thought Lin Feng amazed. The Wen clan's emperor arrived quickly, because the Tiansu teleportation portal is in their territory. Yuan Fei reminded Lin Feng. The members of the Wen clan looked delighted. They all bowed before their emperor. Even though they were all from the same clan, he was their highest figure. Lin Feng watched the emperor. The emperor walked to the center of the seal, and a terrifying force assaulted it. Boom boom! The ground shook violently. Lin Feng groaned. He felt like his body was going to explode. The seal shook a little. The emperor from the Wen clan rose up in the air and glanced at the gigantic pitch-black seal stone. He was surprised. The demon-sealing great emperor must have done that, whispered the emperor from the Wen clan. If they knew that Yin Di was also there, and that his soul had almost been crushed to death, how would they feel? But the emperor of the Wen clan remained silent. He simply continued studying the seal. As the emperor said nothing, the crowd didn't dare talk either. The atmosphere was eerily silent. In the distance, the wind emitted whistling sounds again. Many of them had to close their eyes because the enormous amount of dust brought by that wind. When the wind calmed down, they opened their eyes to find that someone else had arrived. Your Imperial Majesty! All the strong cultivators of the Sikong clan from Central Ba Huang bowed before their emperor. Emperor Sikong's facial expression looked strange. It was as if he was trying to understand what the situation was about. He too stared at the demonic marks. Boom! After a short while, Emperor Sikong groaned furiously and closed his eyes looking upset. Emperor Sikong had a celestial vision, like Sikong Shao. However, he had hurt his eyes when he used his celestial vision on the stone. What a terrifying seal stone! What did you see? Asked Emperor Wen to Emperor Sikong. Emperor Sikong opened his eyes again and said, 3,681 demon sealing techniques. I used my celestial vision on the seal, but my eyes almost sealed themselves. In the distance, 3 silhouettes arrived at the same time. The emperors from the magic world Heavenly Palace, the Qi clan, and the godly Xiaoyao sect. Their respective groups bowed before them. However, as each of the 3 emperors arrived and tried to break the seal, they all failed as well. What do you think? Asked Emperor Wen to the emperors. We need to understand what kind of sealing strength, that is to find its weakness. Otherwise we won't be able to break it. Right, we need to understand what kind of sealing technique it is first. If you don't try, how can you know it won't break? Said someone loudly in the distance. Someone was arriving, and they were exuding golden lights which reached far and wide. That person's speed was even scarier than his voice. Emperor Peng, whispered the few emperors. Golden lights appeared in the sky as it looked like a gigantic, supernatural bird blotted out the sky. Emperor Peng, you want to break the seal using strength? Asked Emperor Wen indifferently. Emperor Peng from the Bestial Imperial Palace and Mo Peng, one of the 10 strongest young cultivators, were the only 2 supernatural birds from the Ba Huang province. If we don't try, how can we know that we can't break it? Asked Emperor Peng. He opened his golden wings, and with the sun was reflecting on them, dazzling golden lights lit the area. Caw! Emperor Peng cawed furiously, and peeked down turning into a dazzling beam of light. Boom boom! He crashed onto the seal stone, and the gigantic stone shook in response. Some of the people watching groaned in pain and coughed up blood. How terrifying! Emperor Peng, even with your strength, you can't break that sealing technique, said Emperor Wen. Emperor Peng was now staring at the seal stone. What was that sorcery? It seemed like brute force was not the solution. Good heavens, said a loud voice. The crowd turned around surprised. What was that Taoist monk doing there? He's here too, thought Lin Feng. Back then, he was sealed in the Yinhai mountain range, so maybe he knew what was going on. Dear emperors, I know what kind of sealing technique that is, said the Taoist monk sounding confident and at ease. The emperors looked at him skeptically. That Zoom-level Taoist monk knew what sealing technique that was? Tell us then, said Emperor Qi to Yen Di. You can look at the detailed demonic marks. If you divide them into 8 parts, you'll see 8 gigantic doors. You don't need to look at the whole pattern, just look at one door, said Yendi. The emperors looked at the patterns again and very quickly, they were astonished. Indeed, they could see 8 doors. What kind of sealing technique is that though? Asked Emperor 1 to Yendi. Syllogistic Devamara seal. It is capable of sealing any demon, said Yendi calmly. Chapter 1266. Yendi fooling Emperor's Syllogistic Devamara seal. It can seal any demon. The emperors were trying to see through Yendi. A trivial Zoom cultivator knew what the Syllogistic Devamara sealing technique was. They knew the sealing great emperor used it, but they had only heard of it though. How can we break it? Asked Emperor Peng to Yendi. Forgive me for being straightforward. The demon sealing emperor used the Syllogistic Devamara sealing technique here. So there might be a terrifying demon underneath. You should think about giving up. If a demon came out, I fear that even emperors wouldn't be able to deal with him. The consequences could be tragic, said Yendi in a very serious way. However, Lin Feng was convinced. Yendi was trying to admonish with well-meant words, even if it was risky. Besides, if he didn't wanted them to break the seal, did he need to tell them? They had been trying to break it for a while already without success. So why had he come now and tell them that? What is that bastard doing? Thought Lin Feng. Was Yendi going to offend emperors? The emperors were guessing that this guy knew something. If you know anything then talk, said Emperor Peng. His silhouette flickered, and he landed before Yendi. His hand turned into sharp claws as he grabbed Yendi by the throat. The 8 Syllogistic Devamara chain sealing technique has been cast on these 8 doors. You can find the entrance amongst these doors, with the strength of 8 emperors, by spilling a drop of blood on each door, and it will activate the demonic marks. Then, you can use your strength to break the seals, said Yendi calmly. He didn't look scared at all. Lin Feng started thinking that Yendi was telling the truth. If you said even only one lie, I can guarantee you that the consequences will be tragic, said Emperor Peng to Yendi. His silhouette flickered, and he landed on one of the 8 doors. If a Zun cultivator actually lied to an emperor, he would die. We need 2 more people, thought the emperors on their respective spots. We're here too, said 2 people in the distance. A strong wind began blowing again. One of them was wearing a fire robe. It was Emperor Yan from the Fire Mountain in western Bahuang, and the other one was Emperor Tianlong from Tianlong Divine Castle. Since you're here, let's start, said Emperor Peng indifferently. Emperor Tianlong and Emperor Yan landed on their respective doors. 8 emperors and 8 doors, thought the crowd. Was that Taoist monk speaking the truth? If you lied, you'll die, threatened Emperor Tianlong to Yendi aggressively. At that moment, amongst the group of strong cultivators from Fire Mountain, Fu He frowned. He felt like something wrong. If it was someone else, he would have been convinced that they wouldn't cheat an emperor. But maybe that specific Taoist monk would. But in any case, he couldn't say anything to the emperors. He was too weak to give his opinion. Don't worry, your imperial majesties, you are all incredibly strong. Just spill a drop of blood on the 8 doors, and with your strength, you'll be able to break the Devamara seals, said Yendi calmly and serenely. All the emperors nodded, and at the same time they released chi, which dashed to the skies. Then they gave up a drop of blood, imperial blood. Their blood fell on the seals and instantly, the demonic marks seemed to come to life. The pitch-black demonic marks began moving, and a terrifying strength emerged. The Devamara chains appeared. The crowd could see chains appearing on the gigantic black sealing stones. It was as if an emperor had been holding those chains, and had sealed a terrifying and peerless demon with them. The chains suddenly ramped and clung to the 8 emperors' legs, constricting them. The syllogistic Devamara chains which conceal terrifying godly demons. That's a demon sealing territory. So you can only blame yourselves for bringing about your own destruction, said Yendi, sounding aggressive and imposing now. That Taoist monk had actually dared to fool those emperors. Roar! At that moment, the earth and sky started roaring and chi dashed to the skies. The 8 emperors were now stuck by the chains. You want to die, shouted Emperor Peng. His body was quickly surrounded by golden lights which illuminated the atmosphere. "Break! Break! Break!" shouted Emperor Peng. It almost seemed like he was about to break the chains, but they turned into pitch-black demonic marks, and they constricted him even more. "Die!" shouted the great oriental greenfinch rocket Yendi. He released dazzling sword energies which moved towards Yendi. However, Yendi remained calm under that pressure. He broke something in his hand, and an explosion sounded. Then he disappeared. "Emperors, offer yourselves as a sacrifice," said a loud voice coming from the sky. It was Yendi's voice, but he had already disappeared from everyone's vision. "You'll die," shouted Emperor Peng furiously. Cough cough. Lin Feng coughed up blood. His face had turned deathly pale. Yuan Fei was confused too. His face was also deathly pale. The ground was shaking and the golden lights were shaking the space aggressively. "Let's go," shouted Lin Feng. Everybody was running away with them. That bastard Yendi, just what is he planning? Thought Lin Feng. He hadn't truly believed that he would cheat emperors. Boom boom boom. Emperor Tianlong also tried to attack the chains, but it was useless. Emperor Qi and Emperor Wen also tried, but as before they failed. The emperor's faces turned deathly pale, like sheets of paper. "Who dares attack me?" shouted Emperor Peng furiously. "No bastard. I will destroy you." Emperor Tianlong had turned into a dragon, but his vitality was draining as well. "Emperors, offer yourselves as a sacrifice." The crowd remembered what Yendi had said when he left, then their faces turned pale. What kind of terrifying thing was that stone? "Let's attack the ceiling strength together," said Emperor Wen. The emperors all sensed that their vitality was being absorbed. "All right, together," said everybody. A golden great oriental greenfinch rock appeared. A dragon, a gigantic hand, a gigantic fire hand. The 8 emperors were joining hands. "Let's go." The crowd in the distance realized how urgent it was for them to get farther away. Lin Feng and Yuan Fei jumped onto Lin Feng's gigantic sword. They were still coughing blood, and their faces were deathly pale. However, the syllogistic Devamara chains still weren't moving. After their joint efforts, a crack had appeared. Boom boom boom. In the distance, 2 silhouettes appeared. "What's the matter, everyone?" said someone indifferently. One of them was the emperor from the Thunderbirds clan. "I'm here too." Yuan Fei gazed into the distance and saw the great ape emperor. Chapter 1267. The 9 Songs. Emperor Thunder. "Emperor Ape, help us break the seals," said Emperor Peng aggressively. Emperor Peng was from the bestial imperial palace in the brutal part of Bahuang. He was incredibly aggressive. Even those 2 emperors didn't want to confront him. "Emperor Peng, what should I do?" asked the Thunderbird Emperor, Emperor Lei. He was afraid to offend Emperor Peng. Even though they were sealed, after breaking the seals, those emperors would deal with anyone who had offended them. "The 8 of us have attacked the chains at the same time, but it didn't work. Attack with us. We will all attack the center of the seal stone. The demon sealing emperor sealed that place," said Emperor Peng. He knew what Emperor Lei was thinking. He also hoped that Emperor Lei would be stuck on the sealing stone as well. "All right, let me try," said Emperor Lei. He landed on the central part of the gigantic sealed territory and attacked it with thunderous energies. "Together," shouted Emperor Peng furiously. "Humph. Why would he help though?" said Yuan Fei. The great ape emperor wasn't willing to help. But if the emperors managed to break free, they'd have to settle accounts afterwards if he didn't help them now. Lin Feng nodded. Those emperors weren't at all friends. People like Emperor Shi and Emperor Yu were rare. After all, they came from the same place. "Lin Feng," said someone in the distance. He turned around and saw Yendi. However, Yendi had turned into Qiongqi again. "You actually came back," said Lin Feng using telepathy. "How insane. If the emperors discovered it was him, they'd kill him. Apart from you, who knows me?" said Qiongqi disdainfully. Then he smiled and said, "I'm your friend Qiongqi the ancient wild beast, aren't I?" "If you say so," said Lin Feng. If anyone found out who Qiongqi was, they'd kill Lin Feng too. At that moment, Qiongqi arrived next to Lin Feng. Yuan Fei looked surprised as he said, "Lin Feng, is that your pet?" "PFFF. You should say he's my pet. I'm an emperor, said Qiongqi aggressively. Yuan Fei scratched his head. Qiongqi had a bad temper. Bastard, what happened down there? What's that? Who sealed you? Did both the Three Lives Great Emperor and the Demon Sealing Emperor really appear here back then? Asked Lin Feng using telepathy. Don't ask so much. I can only tell you that here, the Three Lives Great Emperor and the Demon Sealing Emperors are not the only ones who have come. A battle between great emperors took place here. One which not only took place in a small world. Lin Feng, you already have some extremely strong demonic skills. Excellent. I'll give you another incredible gift. I hope you'll always remember me, said Qiongqi. His eyes were twinkling. What was he doing? A gift. He definitely knew what was under the seal. Boom, boom, boom. At that moment the crowd shook again. The emperors were still trying to break free from the chains, and several more emperors had arrived. Apart from Emperor Lei and the Great Ape Emperor, Emperor Niuemo from Mangniu Mountain, and the Buddha Emperor, with his golden body, from the Celestial Thunder Temple had also arrived. Not far from them was a beautiful girl. It was Empress Raja from the Heavens of Desire's palace. There was also a perverted-looking emperor. The gigantic sealed stone was already cracking. The chained emperors' faces were deathly pale by this point. Everybody help us. There are some treasures here, said Emperor Qi to the newcomers. However, everybody remained silent and ignored him. Initially, the Great Ape Emperor and Emperor Lei were alone, so they had to help. But now there were so many more emperors. If there were tensions between all those emperors, a great war would consume Ba Huang. Kacha. At that moment, a terrifying strength appeared below them. The thing sealed underneath also wants to break free, thought the crowd. Like the 8 emperors, the thing sealed under the stone also wanted to escape. Boom! The demonic marks were cracking even more. The seal is breaking, thought Lin Feng. However, terrifying energies suddenly emerged from the demonic marks and black clouds condensed in the sky. A demon, thought Lin Feng. Yen Di had told him he would offer him an incredible gift, which was related to his demon skills. Did the thing sealed under that stone have anything to do with it? What a terrifying demonic energy, thought Yuan Fei shaking. Hoo hoo hoo, some sounds came from under the ground. Someone was wailing in a cruel way. That demonic song emitted sound waves filled with demonic energies. The 8 chained emperors were now turning into demons. Empress Raja, what's that song? Asked the emperors to the incredibly beautiful empress from the Heavens of Desire's palace. I don't know, it's a demonic song, so it's not like my attacks, said the empress. The demon song was influencing everyone, turning them into demons. That demon energy is terrifying, thought Lin Feng. Lin Feng wanted to leave, but he could barely move. He needed to study those demonic energies. Even though Lin Feng had studied powerful demonic skills, he still didn't understand demon abstruse energies, nor did he know where to study them. 9 dark clouds, the demonic source. 9 netherworlds, demonic song, one of the 9 most powerful songs of the continent, thought Empress Raja. In the entire country, including Yangzhou City, everyone raised their heads and saw those black clouds. There's someone. At that moment, 2 people appeared in the sky above those clouds. One was pitch black. His pitch black hair was fluttering in the wind. Even though he was calmly standing there, his demonic energies were terrifying. He seemed to be the king of demons, the master of demons, the demon emperor. In his arms was a woman, and she was motionless. The demon emperor looked sad. 9 demonic song. Chapter 1268. Goddess, Empress Shi's grave. Everybody raised their heads to see what was going on. A great demon emperor is sealed here. The demon sealing great emperor had been to a tiny country like Shuiyu, and inside that stone, another great emperor was sealed. As expected, the demon sealing technique had been used to seal a demon emperor. The demon emperor in the sky looked calm. He was observing the crowd in a disdainful way. Who could compete with him in the world? The 9 netherworlds demonic song could make people turn into demons. Apart from that terrifying demonic energy, people also sensed some sadness, the sadness of a fallen emperor. The demon emperor also has emotions, thought Lin Feng. It reminded him of back in Shuiyu when he had used the demonic sword, because Meng Qing had turned into an animal. He still hasn't lost his emotions completely. Lin Feng released his own demonic qi, but he didn't do it on purpose. In Shuiyu, many people could hear the nine netherworld's demoniac song, and a black qi was slowly emerging from their bodies. If I met such a man, even if I grew old and weren't as beautiful as now, that wouldn't be a problem, thought Ren Lei, who was watching from a distance. Kacha. The 8 emperors were still struggling, especially the great oriental greenfinch rock. His dazzling golden energies were turning black, and his eyes were also becoming black. A stupid demon emperor's obsessiveness. You won't turn into a demon. Just break, shouted the great oriental greenfinch rock, looking at the sky. The demon emperor in the sky only moved a little. He looked at Emperor Peng in a disdainful way. The demon song started ringing even louder in Emperor Peng's brain, tearing him down again. A stupid demon emperor? The crowd didn't agree. That demon emperor was terrifying. Who's that? Lin Feng understood that incredibly strong demonic cultivators could force their enemies into submission just by looking at them. The Netherworld Demon Emperor. It's just a thread of energy here which hasn't dispersed for thousands of years, said Qiongqi using telepathy. That was a demon emperor, a great emperor. Could do all of this with just a little thread of energy, which hadn't died in thousands of years. The Netherworld Demon Emperor has emotions. Why did the demon sealing Great Emperor seal him? And you? Who sealed you? What's going on? Asked Lin Feng to Qiongqi. Since you want to know more, I can tell you a bit. In the continent of the 9 clouds, there are 9 godly demonic forbidden songs. The Netherworld Demon Emperor can control one of the songs, the 9 Netherworld's demonic song. Because of the woman he's holding in his arms died, he wanted to kill the 3 lives Great Emperor, and then a great war took place here. If you look at the sealed area carefully, you'll realize it's a grave, said Yan Di to Lin Feng using telepathy. You can see the gravestone there, said Yan Di, looking at the main peak of the Yunhai mountain range. After everything was destroyed in the mountain range, a gigantic gravestone had appeared. Do you want to go and see what's written on it? It has something to do with you. With me? Lin Feng was astonished. What did the Netherworld Demon Emperor's gravestone have to do with him? Let's go. Lin Feng jumped on Qiongqi, still surrounded by demonic qi. Then Qiongqi flew towards the gravestone. Lin Feng, shouted Yuan Fei when he saw that Lin Feng was suddenly leaving. It was too dangerous. Even cultivators at the top of the Zun Qi layer didn't want to get close. I'm going to see something there, shouted Lin Feng to Yuan Fei. You little bastard, let me come with you. Then Yuan Fei followed him. You disgrace. Come back, shouted the Great Ape Emperor to Yuan Fei. His silhouette flickered, and he appeared in front of Yuan Fei. I'm just going to see something with Lin Feng, said Yuan Fei, smiling. The old man shrugged and smiled. The Great Ape Emperor had huge eyes as he looked at Yuan Fei, and then decided to follow. Finally, Lin Feng and Qiongqi landed in front of the gravestone. Lin Feng read it. Goddess, Empress Xi's grave. Those words contained an incredible qi, but the qi didn't contain any sadness. Here is Empress Xi's grave, surprisingly, but what does that have to do with me? Thought Lin Feng. He asked Qiongqi using telepathy. Why does it have something to do with me, and why is it written goddess? Of course it has something to do with you. Would you dare come with me to the sky and look at the girl the Netherworld Demon Emperor is holding? Said Qiongqi using telepathy. Tell me first, what role did you play during the Great Emperor's War? Asked Lin Feng. He knew too much. I robbed graves, said Yan Di. Lin Feng was astonished. Yan Di was a robber? You, a great emperor, was robbing tombs. Lin Feng was speechless. I wasn't the only one. The Netherworld Demon Emperor had also robbed tombs. That's why he died. But she was already dead then, so emotions were useless. He made a mistake as a demon emperor. He practiced demonic cultivation, and he fell because of a beautiful woman, said Yan Di disdainfully. For him, having emotions was a tragedy. He can only blame himself. He fell in love with a beautiful woman, but it was a one-sided love, said Yan Di. Trust me and come with me. Let's go and see the demon emperor, said Qiongqi to Lin Feng using telepathy. You're not trying to cheat me, are you? Said Lin Feng. He had fooled the 8 emperors, so Lin Feng was a bit scared. Bastard, you don't trust me. Don't forget what the diviner said. I'll tell you the truth. I don't have much of my soul now. Even if I continue becoming stronger, I'll never be a great emperor again. I must rely on you. Therefore, I will do my best to make you become a great emperor. Now, I will show you how lucky you are. It's a great opportunity. Don't miss it or you'll regret it forever, said Yin Di to Lin Feng using telepathy. Lin Feng thought about it briefly and nodded. All right, let's go up there and see the Netherworld Demon Emperor. Then they both rose up in the air. Chapter 1269. The Inheritor. Many people raised their heads and saw 2 silhouettes rising in the air towards the demonic emperor. Lin Feng was on Qi's back and his heart was pounding. He had never been that high up in the sky before, and in front of him, there was a great demon emperor. Boom! A terrifying chi was blowing and brushing against their bodies. It felt like that at any moment, they could turn into demons. Finally, they arrived just underneath the Netherworld Demon Emperor, and they could see him clearly. Netherworld Demon Emperor. Do you remember Yin Di from back in the days? Asked Chi to the Netherworld Demon Emperor, using his godly awareness. Yin Di. That voice resonated in Lin Feng and Yin Di's brains. He lowered his head and looked at them. Lin Feng's soul shook. It was like the Netherworld Demon Emperor was going to take control over his soul. Indeed, Yin Di, said Chi. He used his godly awareness to converse with him. Back then, you risked your life for Empress Shi and died, otherwise who could have stopped you? Now, Empress Shi is coming back to life, but you have nothing besides a remainder of your soul left. Empress Shi coming back to life? The Netherworld Demon Emperor looked at them evilly. Those huge black clouds rolled in the sky of Shuiyu. Indeed, inspect his soul, and you'll know everything, said Yin Di to the Netherworld Demon Emperor. He lowered his head and looked at Lin Feng with his pitch-black eyes. Boom! The Demon Emperor inspected Lin Feng's thoughts. Lin Feng's soul shook violently, but he couldn't do anything against that strength. Why? Whispered the Netherworld Demon Emperor. He could see everything Lin Feng knew, his entire life even. Right, Empress Shi is coming back to life, but your soul will disperse soon. I found an inheritor for you, and I think the 9 Netherworld's demonic song shouldn't disappear. It's great, right? Said Yin Di using telepathy. Are you not afraid that I could kill you? Asked the Netherworld Demon Emperor coldly. You won't. Put your thoughts in him, and fuse together with his body. Let your soul flow throughout his body. Then, you'll be able to stay with Empress Shi for your entire life, said Chi. The Netherworld Demon Emperor's facial expression changed. Using Lin Feng's body to stay with Empress Shi for the rest of his life? He lowered his head. He looked so sad. Boom! At that moment, Lin Feng sensed a gigantic hand grab his body. Then the Demon Emperor put him in the 9 Netherworld's water source. 9 songs, 9 Netherworld songs, said the Netherworld Demon Emperor. Lin Feng sensed the evil water flow throughout his body, but it didn't destroy his body. Instead, it turned into a beautiful melody resonating in his head. Lin Feng was astonished. He now realized that Yin Di had succeeded. However, Lin Feng was also a bit angry. Yin Di had taken so many risks. Lin Feng closed his eyes and sat down cross-legged in the evil water. The source of the 9 Netherworlds continued flowing throughout his body. The crowd was astonished. What was going on? Why was Lin Feng sitting cross-legged in the 9 Netherworlds water? Only Chi, Lin Feng, and the Demon Emperor knew what they had talked about. At that moment, many people in Shuiyu raised their heads as well and saw Lin Feng, their king, sitting cross-legged in the sky, in the 9 Netherworld source. Chi was sweating. He had gambled, and it had worked. You're right, the 9 Netherworld song can't be forgotten. However, even if Empress Shi comes back to life, she won't be the same as before, so staying with her all the time would be pointless, said the 9 Netherworld's demon, while looking at the beautiful girl in his arms. What's the point in protecting her grave? She's already dead, said the Netherworld Demon Emperor looking at the gigantic grave. Then, the Netherworld Demon Emperor looked at Lin Feng and said, when you master the 9 Netherworld's demoniac song. If you feel like it, help me and kill the 3 lives demon. Then a soul penetrated into Lin Feng's third eye, and the Netherworld demon emperor disappeared. Even though you fell, I'll stay with you because I still love you, said a loud voice. Finally, the demonic energies dispersed and the evil water disappeared. Lin Feng's third eye now contained a terrifying demonic awareness, as his eyes were pitch black. When the Netherworld demon emperor left, he had decided to leave a thread of awareness with Lin Feng. When you master the 9 Netherworld's demonic song, if you feel like it, help me by killing the 3 lives demon emperor, whispered Lin Feng. 3 lives great emperor, the Netherworld demon emperor, the demon sealing great emperor, Empress Shi, what were their relations? And that gravestone, who made it? The demon sealing great emperor had sealed the Netherworld demon emperor. But why did he want him to kill the 3 lives great emperor? And it also seemed that Yin Di had convinced the Netherworld demon emperor to stay with Empress Shi because of her dead body. Was it on purpose to make the demon sealing great emperor seal again? With the last thread of soul you have, what should you do? Said Lin Feng to the silhouette, which had disappeared already. Boom, boom, boom. Loud sounds made Lin Feng come back to his senses. He looked at the ground and saw the strong cultivator struggling. There were even more and more crack marks. They would probably break free soon. Break! Emperor Peng looked like a demon at that moment. His qi was dashing to the skies. He was surrounded by golden and demonic qi. The 7 other emperors were struggling too, but they were about to succeed. The Netherworld demon emperor had been able to break free from the sealing energies, which proved that they weren't as strong as before. Boom! Finally, the demonic marks were broken, and the seals were broken with them. Who can stop me? Shouted the great oriental greenfinch rock. At that moment, he looked like a corrupted bird. The other emperors broke free from the seals too, but they didn't look as terrifying. Their faces were also deathly pale. Damn seals. Finally free. Ha ha ha, finally they broke. Empress Shi is dead. The demon emperor is gone. Who can stop me now? Qiongqi and Lin Feng flew away as fast as they could. Everybody was suddenly captivated by the grave. Shuiyu was filled with dazzling lights, and a gigantic palace was emerging from the sealed area. Robbing tombs. No wonder Qiongqi wanted to rob tombs. Those are Empress Shi and the Netherworld demon emperor's small worlds, thought Lin Feng. Chapter 1270. Peerless Cultivator. When you robbed tombs, the Netherworld demon emperor was still there, so you must have robbed Empress Shi's tomb while not hiding your great emperor status, asked Lin Feng to Qiongqi using telepathy. What did he want to do? And why goddess? The empress has incredible treasures, said Qiongqi. His eyes were twinkling. Then he asked Lin Feng. And don't you want to know why I said that all this had something to do with you? Do I need to ask? Said Lin Feng, smiling wryly. He obviously understood from what Qiongqi had said to the Netherworld demon emperor. You're not as dumb as you seem then. So now you understand what I meant last time, said Qiongqi, smiling. Lin Feng rolled his eyes. He meant he wanted Lin Feng to have a child. Look, it's getting chaotic over there, said Lin Feng. Rumbling sounds appeared as palaces rose. The area turned into a fairyland. The emperors think they're free because they broke the seal. They must still want to die, said Qiongqi disdainfully. The emperors from Bahuang province had the advantage in terms of number. But did they think they'd have the advantage over the sealed emperor? Shuiyu is going to be rich, said Qiongqi. 2 small worlds had appeared in Shuiyu, so Shuiyu would certainly rise in the future. Empress Shi's small world was beautiful. It had a celestial qi, waterfalls appeared and it was gigantic. From now on, Empress Shi's palace had replaced the Yinhai mountain range and the Black Wind mountain. At the same time, the Netherworld demon emperor's small world rose up too, but it was even larger than Empress Shi's. It had a circular form, and had surrounded Empress Shi's territory, as if it were protecting it. Are those great emperor's small worlds? How spectacular, thought Lin Feng. He was inspecting all those buildings. The Netherworld demon emperor's palaces were gigantic and lofty. Is that small world going to expand to Yangzhou City? Thought Lin Feng. If that small world was a few dozens of thousands kilometers wide, it would reach Yangzhou City. Lin Feng, come down, shouted Yuan Fei. The emperors had already started fighting in the sky in order to not destroy the small worlds. How fast, thought the crowd when they saw all those people moving towards the small worlds. Pure qi rolled in waves, and it was an incredible energy. Lin Feng entered the small world and instantly felt great. Everybody get out, shouted someone. It was Emperor Peng. Emperor Peng's qi contained some black threads, and even his eyes had turned black. Did you see? That's the strength of the 9 netherworlds demonic song. One glance, and people will become demons. Emperor Peng has already started turning into a demon, said Qiongqi to Lin Feng using telepathy. Some of the emperors are falling, thought the crowd. Piss off or I'll kill everyone, shouted Emperor Peng furiously. Bzzz. At that moment clouds rolled in the sky. Everybody raised their heads and saw the strong cultivators. A face appeared. It looked aggressive, domineering and majestic. People had the feeling they were going to suffocate. Finally someone said, "All the emperors get the hell out of this country and never come back," shouted an aggressive voice. "Who do you think you are?" shouted Emperor Peng furiously and aggressively. The face looked at him, and oppressive energies descended from the sky and surrounded him. The crowd saw a gigantic hand, and many people emitted horrible shrieks. They closed their eyes, they didn't dare look. Was it their judgment day? When they opened their eyes, their faces turned deathly pale. Emperor Peng was in the gigantic hand. She was whistling, the space was shaking. No matter how insane he had got, he couldn't escape from that hand. "How dare you talk that way? You're really confident for a little bird. Even the Dragon Emperor and the Phoenix don't dare talk to me that way," said that person in the sky aggressively. It was as if God had been talking. "If you don't want me to cripple your cultivation or kill you, piss off," said that strong cultivator in the sky. Then, Emperor Peng immediately disappeared. "If you dare come back, I'll destroy you," said the voice to Emperor Peng as he ran away. "All the emperors, piss off and leave this place. The same to you. If you dare come back, I'll kill you." No matter which emperor, they'd die if they came back to Shuiyu. Then, they all ran away with their tails between their legs. Chapter 1271. Because of the 3 live scriptures, they're gone. The crowd was speechless. The emperors had disappeared in the blink of an eye, and a cultivator in the sky had made them leave with only a sentence. "Who is he?" said Lin Feng looking at the sky. Had a terrifying great emperor appeared again? He had just seen the demon emperor's remaining soul, and now there seemed to be another great emperor. "Who do you think?" said Qiongqi to Lin Feng using telepathy. Lin Feng tried to understand. When the seals were broken, the netherworld demon emperor left, and then a great emperor had appeared. Maybe he had sensed that the seal had been broken. "The demon sealing great emperor," whispered Lin Feng. Qiongqi didn't reply. Lin Feng didn't ask more. But he was convinced that the great emperor was the demon sealing great emperor. Maybe it was the one who had made Empress Xi's gravestone. Lin Feng didn't know if the demon sealing great emperor was also the one who had made the gravestone. And what role had the 3 lives great emperor played? After thousands of years, the remaining thread of soul from the netherworld demon emperor still hadn't forgotten about him. When you master the 9 netherworlds demonic song, if you feel like it, help me and kill the 3 lives demon emperor. However, the 3 lives great emperor was a terrifying cultivator. Even if Lin Feng had the 9 netherworlds demonic song, which was a terrifying skill, how long would he need to master it at such a high level? Finally, the strong cultivator looked at the 2 worlds and sighed. Fate would determine the rest. This country is small and weak. Even if you obtain treasures, you can't harm its people. Remember to act humane, said the silhouette in the sky. Everybody nodded. Nobody would dare offend such a terrifying entity. Clouds rolled and swallowed that face in a vortex. When that silhouette disappeared, the atmosphere gradually became normal again. The great emperor was gone. The emperors were gone. Zoom cultivators were all that remained. He's helping Shuiyu on purpose, whispered Lin Feng. He didn't understand. For them, it's just a slight effort, said Qiongqi. Lin Feng nodded. Lin Feng wouldn't have been able to do much for his country. But a great emperor only had to say one sentence, and had prevented a catastrophe from overwhelming Shuiyu. We have things to do. Qiongqi. Even after thousands of years, he still wanted to rob tombs. Even between great emperors, there can be huge differences, thought Lin Feng. Lin Feng, let's go to Empress Shi's coffin chamber. There must some incredible imperial scriptures there, said Qiongqi, rising up in the air. Some imperial scriptures? How incredible! Was Empress Shi a high-level cultivation empress? Imperial scriptures are incredible, and Empress Shi was a peerless cultivator. She had studied imperial scriptures, but in the end, she didn't mind dying to achieve enlightenment. Not many have dared to do that since the antiquity. They were using telepathy to talk, so nobody could know what they were talking about. Besides, Qiongqi had cheated 8 emperors to make the Netherworld Demon Emperor appear, so the emperors would remember him from then on. Lin Feng was a bit worried about that. He didn't dare imagine what would happen if the emperors found out that Qiongqi was the Taoist monk who had cheated them. Boom! An explosion sounded. Some people were fighting on the ground because they wanted to steal something. Let's go and see. Lin Feng and Qiongqi, as they descended from the sky, they found that those people were fighting for a jade annulus. There were carvings on the jade annulus, so it was likely that Empress Shi had carved them. Not interesting, said Qiongqi. He used to be an emperor. So Empress Shi's teachings were not useful for him, who used to be a great emperor. He wanted imperial scriptures. However, the territory was gigantic. Finding the imperial scriptures wouldn't be easy. Let's separate. We'll have more chances to find something that way. Keep in mind that you might find the 3 live scriptures in Empress Shi's palace, said Qiongqi, looking excited. The 3 live scriptures were the 3 lives great emperor's scriptures. Lin Feng finally understood what Qiongqi wanted. Why would the 3 live scriptures be in Empress Shi's grave? Asked Lin Feng to Qiongqi, who was now walking away. You already know too much, said Qiongqi. Lin Feng grinded his teeth. Why didn't he tell him? The 3 live scriptures. Lin Feng's eyes twinkled. He obviously wanted such imperial scriptures too. If Lin Feng managed to learn the full scriptures and have 3 bodies in one, his strength would be multiplied by 3. Lin Feng unsheathed his Tianji sword. Some strong cultivators were in Empress Shi's grave, so he had to be careful. The coffin chamber. Lin Feng looked at the small world pensively. Qiongqi wanted to find Empress Shi's coffin chamber to find the 3 live scriptures. But if he were Empress Shi, where would he have put his most valuable treasures? If I were the Empress, I would have put my most valuable treasures in my ring and kept them with me, whispered Lin Feng. Every strong cultivator did the same. The Netherworld Demon Emperor already took Empress Shi's physical body away. Empress Shi had died because she wanted to achieve enlightenment. But before dying, she had probably left her treasures in that small world. The Netherworld Demon Emperor is already dead. He doesn't need Empress Shi's treasures, so Empress Shi's ring is either on her finger or in the small world, thought Lin Feng, smiling wryly. Finding treasures wasn't easy, but if he managed to find Empress Shi's coffin chamber, even if the 3 live scriptures weren't there, he'd probably find other great treasures. Xian Yi likes calm and tranquility, bamboo forest, flowing waters and mountains. Xian is cold and detached. She's the ice beauty. But she also likes peace and tranquility, whispered Lin Feng. Then he began walking in the small world. Soon he came across a small mountain range, filled with vitality. Bzzz. Lin Feng ran ahead. He wasn't the only one heading in that direction. Many people were already fighting for treasures. Very quickly, Lin Feng arrived in the mountain range, a particular spot which was calm and tranquil. There was even a flowing river. At that moment, someone released an ice-cold qi which surrounded Lin Feng. Lin Feng looked at that person. That person's facial expression was hideous, like an animal. Piss off. Lin Feng released the Demon Emperor's energies. His opponent suddenly felt ice-cold as demonic energies corroded his body. Blood splashed. He stopped and started shaking violently. That strength wasn't Lin Feng's. It was a terrifying demonic strength. The Netherworld Demon Emperor. He was shaking like a leaf in the wind. His face was deathly pale. It seemed like the Netherworld Demon Emperor had transmitted a terrifying power to Lin Feng. Chapter 1272. The Qi Clan vs. Lin Feng. Lin Feng continued walking around. He was surrounded by mountains and forests. He soon came across a gigantic tree, which had probably been living for thousands of years in that small world. It seemed imposing and powerful. Lin Feng condensed sword qi in his left hand and attacked the tree. A mere scratch appeared on the trunk of the tree. A holy weapon could be made from that tree, whispered Lin Feng. Even a simple tree could be an incredible treasure. Lin Feng had a cursing scepter, which seemed to be made of some kind of wood. Maybe Lin Feng could find the tree which had been used to create that scepter. There are incredible treasures in this small world. Unfortunately, I can't use them all for myself, thought Lin Feng. Lin Feng looked at the mountain with the coffin chamber. That was the same kind of place that Xianyi liked. So Empress She had probably enjoyed the same kind of things. Lin Feng opened the door of the coffin chamber and entered it. It smelt good inside. Surprisingly, the fragrance of a woman hadn't dispersed over the thousands of years. My understanding abilities can increase by simply smelling that qi, thought Lin Feng. Lin Feng noticed some vines, from which the pleasant qi seemed to be released by. It made people feel full of vitality. So practicing cultivation, there would probably be beneficial. It has so many marks, thought Lin Feng. There were mysterious marks on the vines. They seemed to contain the qi of enlightenment. Lin Feng gasped with amazement. That was a precious treasure. His eyes twinkled as he grabbed the vines and stowed them away. Lin Feng continued walking and arrived in front of a bronze mirror. It was the mirror Empress She used to put on makeup in front of. It contained an extraordinary and ancient qi. I wonder how I can use such a mirror. He released pure qi on the mirror, but nothing happened. I'll take it and I'll figure it out later, thought Lin Feng while putting the mirror inside his ring. He was feeling uncomfortable because he was in a woman's room. But then he thought of the connection between Empress She and himself. Then he felt better. That painting is not bad, thought Lin Feng when he saw a picture scroll hanging on the wall. There were some rivers and mountains drawn which practically looked real. Lin Feng remembered the picture scroll, which Yendi was sealed in back then. Unfortunately, I can't find her ring, thought Lin Feng glancing around the coffin chamber. At that moment Lin Feng came across her bed. He shook his hand, creating a strong wind which pushed the dust and other items away. The bed appeared and Lin Feng was amazed again. There were detailed marks on the bed, another precious treasure. Lin Feng also took the bed. He was taking everything in the coffin chamber. That teapot is not bad either, thought Lin Feng looking at a teapot and taking it. Her clothes are very beautiful too. They're even a holy weapon. I'll give it to Xianyi. Empress She also liked drawing. I'll take them as well. Lin Feng took everything he could in the coffin chamber. If Empress She had seen him, she would have been angry that he had taken everything, from her clothes down to her teapot. I'm done here it seems, whispered Lin Feng. The items he had just taken seemed ordinary, but he'd inspect them later. After that, Lin Feng walked towards the exit again. The small world was huge, maybe there were other treasures to find. However, very quickly, Lin Feng stopped again and frowned. When he reached the entrance of the room, there were already some people. The strong cultivator from the Qi clan was there too, Qi Yin. Next to Qi Yin, there was Qi Tiansu and some other people. Where is my sister? Asked Qi Tiansu. No comment, said Lin Feng in a cold way. It seems like you don't remember the lesson we taught you last time. Die! Shouted Qi Yin furiously. He released terrifying energies and took out his ancient broken space mirror. Dazzling lights shot forward. It seemed that they had prepared the ancient broken space mirror before coming. Boom! Terrifying explosions sounded as a gigantic object appeared in front of Lin Feng. It was a bed. The members of the Qi clan were speechless. Lin Feng had taken out a bed, but surprisingly, that bed withstood the ancient broken space mirror. Bzzz. Lin Feng broke his sword talisman. He was sweating intensely. The Qi clan wanted nothing more than to kill him. They even used the ancient broken space mirror against him. Luckily, that bed was solid enough. Otherwise, he would have died if the ancient broken space mirror had reached him. Let's go, said someone from the Qi clan. Then they ran away. Even if Lin Feng unsheathed Emperor Wu Tianjian's sword, they would have time to react. Lin Feng put the bed away and was upset. Surprisingly, they didn't leave. They were flying up in the air. Did they have a secret method to deal with the Emperor's sword? They have more hidden treasures, thought Lin Feng. If they didn't, they wouldn't have attacked him while he had the Emperor's sword. And now, they had failed once but didn't leave. It was awfully fishy. Lin Feng slowly walked and looked at them. Then he rose up in the air, moved towards them. He couldn't run away. Otherwise they'd know that he couldn't use the Emperor's sword as he wished. How dare you attack me? Aren't you afraid that I could kill Qi Jiao? Said Lin Feng. His eyes were black like those of a demon. Qi Yan didn't seem reassured. Lin Feng could unsheath the Emperor's sword at any time. Lin Feng, we know who you are. You are the king of Shuiyu. Your family is in Yangzhou City. So just try and touch my sister, said Qi Tiansu. Lin Feng had killed Qi Tiansheng and captured Qi Jiao. Then, they had learnt that Lin Feng was from a remote country and coincidentally, they had ended up in Shuiyu. Lin Feng's eyes looked as sharp as swords. Luckily, he had kept Qi Jiao with him, otherwise, the Qi clan would have attacked his family and friends already. Come on and take out Emperor Wu Tianjian's sword, said Qi Yan mockingly. Lin Feng hesitated. He could only use it 2 more times. And the Qi clan obviously wanted him to unsheath it. Chapter 1273. Sky-absorbing picture scroll. Imperial weapons. Surprisingly, they're asking me to take out Emperor Wu Tianjian's sword, thought Lin Feng. At that moment, a few silhouettes appeared. You said that Lin Feng is the king of Shuiyu, and that his family is in Yangzhou City? Asked a cultivator at the top of the Zunqi layer to Qi Tiansu. He was an aggressive cultivator from Tianlong Divine Castle. Indeed. Yangzhou City, said Qi Tiansu smiling. Lin Feng's eyes were becoming darker and darker, colder and colder. Why don't you unsheath Emperor Wu Tianjian's sword? Do you want to die? Said Qi Yan smiling coldly. Then, his ancient broken space mirror rose up in the air again, and reflected lights off at Lin Feng. Qi Yan didn't dare get near Lin Feng. He was solely relying on the ancient broken space mirror, while trying to force Lin Feng to use Emperor Wu Tianjian's sword. Die! Shouted Qi Yan furiously. Then, terrifying lights emerged from the mirror, and shot out towards Lin Feng. Boom boom boom! Lin Feng took out the bed again. The strong cultivators looked at the bed curiously. A bed could block such a terrifying attack? Qi Yan groaned coldly. His ancient broken space mirror became even larger. He was convinced that Lin Feng was going to take out Emperor Wu Tianjian's sword. Slash! A terrifying sword light moved towards the mirror. Qi Yan frowned and suddenly, an extremely loud explosion sounded. The mirror was propelled away, and crashed onto the ground. Kaboom! Some cracks appeared on the ancient broken space mirror, and Qi Yan's facial expression changed drastically. Come back! Shouted Qi Yan furiously. But it was useless. The sword was still pressing the mirror against the ground. Emperor Wu Tianjian's sword, shouted Lin Feng. Qi Yan was petrified and moved backwards. Relax, I'm just joking, said Lin Feng laughing. Qi Yan was astonished. Lin Feng was cheating him. Boom 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 kaboom. Terrifying rumbling sounds were resonating. The gigantic sword was crushing the ancient broken space mirror, and even more cracks were appearing. Then the mirror broke into pieces. Slash! The sword turned around and moved towards Qi Yan. The sword Qi blotted out the sky. Piss off! Shouted Qi Yan furiously. A gigantic web appeared which contained empty space energies. It enveloped the sword, however it broke. Broken space. Qi Yan raised his fist and jumped forwards while breaking the space around him. He condensed a terrifying amount of empty space energies in his fist. However, that sword was moving forwards with an indomitable will. It was as if millions of swords had been whistling at the same time. Qi Yan performed a knife hand strike in the air, a trail, and then a vortex appeared. The sharp sword pierced through the air and fell into the vortex. Boom boom! The gigantic sword moved into the empty space, and strident whistling sounds pierced people's ears. The vortex was going to swallow the sword. Activate! Shouted Qi Yin. He put his hand on the vortex, and empty space energies dashed to the skies. The gigantic sword finally flew back and turned into a person. Jianmu. Qi Yin looked at that silhouette in a cold way. Then he looked at his mirror, a peerless holy weapon, but it was completely broken now. Jianmu. His parents had hoped that he'd turn into a real sword. More than 30 cultivators appeared and surrounded everyone. So many strong cultivators from Jiang'a, all right, said Qi Yin looking upset. But Jiang'a shouldn't forget that we represent the Qi clan from eastern Bahuang. If you dare attack us, the Qi clan will not let Jiang'a off, said someone from the Qi clan. Jianmu looked at Lin Feng. He was seemingly waiting for Lin Feng's orders. It's not as if I had never killed anyone from the Qi clan. Besides, today you attacked me first, said Lin Feng. We'll kill everyone from the Qi clan. Everyone? The Qi clan's members were aghast. Qi Yin said coldly. Lin Feng, are you not afraid that we could destroy the imperial palace of Yangzhou City? Destroy the imperial palace? Lin Feng smiled coldly. Shuiyu was a forbidden area now. Emperors couldn't go there anymore, and without emperors, they couldn't destroy the imperial palace. Die, said Lin Feng. All right, you're about to bring about your own destruction, said Qi Yin. A picture scroll appeared containing terrifying empty space energies. Imperial weapon! The crowd took a step back. That's the Qi clan's sky-absorbing picture scroll. Many people were astonished to see it. The Qi clan had prepared properly. The emperor had surprisingly given an imperial weapon to Qi Yin before leaving. Imperial clans. No matter whether they had existed for a long time or not, no matter whether their cultivators were extremely strong or not, if they possessed any imperial weapons, they were considered strong. The Qi clan was one of the imperial clans from eastern Bahuang, so they probably had more than one imperial weapon. It looks similar to their spirit, thought Lin Feng when he saw the sky-absorbing picture scroll. Lin Feng couldn't control his Tianji sword, as it was moving towards the sky-absorbing picture scroll, like metal attracting to a magnet. So he put it away. It was no wonder that Qi Yin wanted me to use Emperor Wu Tianjian's sword, thought Lin Feng. Even if he had used Emperor Wu Tianjian's sword, it would have been swallowed up by the sky-absorbing picture scroll. Take, said Qi Yin. His sky-absorbing picture scroll absorbed everything around him, including the many swords in the air. Imperial weapons are terrifying. That sky-absorbing picture scroll can even absorb other imperial weapons. It's a perfect item to steal treasures, thought the crowd. Chapter 1274. Infuriating Emperor Wu Tianjian's sword. Young master, let's go, shouted Jianmu, taking Lin Feng away. All the other strong cultivators from Jiang'a did the same. You think you can escape? Shouted someone furiously. Dragon claws launched out at Lin Feng. If that hand managed to catch Lin Feng, he would die. Lacerate. Jianmu moved behind Lin Feng and blocked the dragon hand. At the same time, empty space energies launched out towards Lin Feng from the other direction. Tianlong Divine Castle. Once the other cultivators noticed that Lin Feng couldn't use Emperor Wu Tianjian's sword, they decided to attack too. Qi Yun, hurry up and attack, shouted a cultivator at the top of the Zunqi layer from Tianlong Divine Castle. The sky-absorbing picture scroll became gigantic and dazzling golden marks started flashing. The sky-absorbing picture scroll doesn't just absorb weapons, it can also absorb people. Qi Yin rose up in the air and stood up next to the sky-absorbing picture scroll. He looked at Lin Feng and the others in a disdainful way. Jiang'a has fallen for thousands of years, and yet, you still dare fight the Qi clan, capture them, shouted Qi Yin furiously. Then the imperial weapon moved towards them. Young master, shouted Jianmu. Lin Feng was moving towards the sky-absorbing picture scroll. Jianmu didn't know what Lin Feng was thinking. Everybody, let's go inside, shouted Jianmu. They all followed Lin Feng and disappeared inside the sky-absorbing picture scroll. Even the trees on the ground were absorbed into the sky-absorbing picture scroll. The sky-absorbing picture scroll is an empty space. Lin Feng was in that empty space observing the gigantic enlightenment marks. That weapon had been fabricated by an emperor who mastered the arts of empty space spells. Young master, Jiang's strong cultivators were now next to Lin Feng. Jianmu didn't look happy, but when he saw that Lin Feng looked calm, he nodded. That was their ancestor's sword. He would manage to remain calm no matter what happened. Lin Feng nodded. He realized he could still see everything that was happening outside. He could even hear sounds from outside. Lin Feng, release Qi Jiao Jiao, and we won't kill your family. The sky-absorbing picture scroll became small before Qi Yin grabbed it. Qi Yin knew how to control it. Otherwise the Qi clan wouldn't have given it to him. Lin Feng's eyes looked cold as yelled back. An imperial clan would dare attack cultivators of the Tianqi layer and Xianqi layer? I'll repeat myself one more time. Release Qi Jiao Jiao, otherwise, we'll kill everyone in Yangzhou City in front of you, said Qi Yin aggressively. However, Lin Feng was stuck in the sky-absorbing picture scroll. How could he release Qi Jiao Jiao? If he did, they probably wouldn't keep their promise. If you dare attack my clan, I'll kill Qi Jiao Jiao, said Lin Feng. Then he closed his eyes and visualized a small sword. You're dull and stupid. I'll kill your clan and then I'll kill you, said Qi Yin. Then a terrifying Qi invaded the sky-absorbing picture scroll. Turn into swords and protect the young master, said Jianmu. In a flash, they all turned into dazzling swords and surrounded him. The empty space energies collided with the sword energies in the empty space, emitting strident sounds. Qi Yin looked at them coldly and said, Let's see how long you can hold it. Unfortunately, he couldn't control the sky-absorbing picture scroll that well, otherwise, he would have killed them all in one strike. Since you're that dull and stupid, Tian Su, follow your third uncle and go to Yangzhou City. Then kill his family and friends, said Qi Yin. Inside the imperial palace was Jianling Kong and Jianling Shao. But Lin Feng was worried. How come Qi Tian Su wasn't scared? Just how strong was his third uncle? They were probably cultivators at the top of the Zunqi layer. Qi Yin wanted to stay there and continue hunting treasures. He had the sky-absorbing picture scroll after all. Lin Feng was visualizing a small sword while he was communicating with Emperor Wu Tianjian's sword in his mind. Little boy, they want to imprison you here, said Lin Feng to the sword. The sword shook and pointed to Lin Feng. Your Emperor Wu Tianjian's sword. But they've used an ordinary imperial weapon to trap you in the empty space picture scroll forever, continued Lin Feng. He wanted to infuriate Emperor Wu Tianjian's sword. Qi Yin thought he could control Emperor Wu Tianjian's sword, therefore, he wanted to keep Lin Feng and the sword inside of the sky-absorbing picture scroll. But Lin Feng knew that Qi Yin couldn't control Emperor Wu Tianjian's sword because it already had its own life, its own soul. It didn't want to be controlled by anyone, let alone an ordinary imperial weapon. The small sword looked sharp and a little angry. Remember how majestic Emperor Wu Tianjian used to be? He had no enemies in the entire province of Bahuang. Now we don't know where he is. Imagine how ridiculous it would be if you ended up in the hands of Emperor Qi. Surprisingly, he gave a feudal cultivator at the top of the Zunqi layer an imperial weapon to fight you. Emperor Wu Tianjian's sword. What a humiliation. That's not just a humiliation for you, but also for Emperor Wu Tianjian, said Lin Feng sighing. // As expected, the sword reacted and exhaled sharp sword energies. Bzzz. Emperor Wu Tianjian's sword whistled as it jumped out of Lin Feng's body. Lin Feng suddenly opened his eyes and smiled indifferently. He thought, it doesn't count, I didn't ask the sword to come out. Boom! Emperor Wu Tianjian's sword suddenly seemed like it could destroy anything. A demonic enlightenment web then appeared, wanting to envelop the sword. Kaboom! Thunderous lights appeared and shook the space. At the same time, Emperor Wu Tianjian's sword released terrifying sword energies, of which the enlightenment marks couldn't block. Jiang's strong cultivators also stopped blocking and opened their eyes. They raised their heads and looked at their ancestor's sword. How powerful! CRRR. The sky-absorbing picture scroll started enlarging, so much so that it left Qi Yin's hand. Lin Feng is using Emperor Wu Tianjian's sword, but how come it's so big? Qi Yin was shaking. How could he know that Lin Feng wasn't controlling the sword, let alone that he couldn't control it? Boom! Terrifying energies appeared, The earth and sky were shaking violently, and so did the sky-absorbing picture scroll. It was as if a battle was occurring inside. Chapter 1275. Imperial Sword's Determination. It's Emperor Wu Tianjian's sword, thought the crowd. An incredibly terrifying sword qi was emerging from the sky-absorbing picture scroll. While it seemed like it was going to cut the scroll in half, the sword was furious. "Stop!" shouted Qi Yin furiously. Inside the sky-absorbing picture scroll, the enlightenment marks were intertwining and shining even more vigorously. Those marks enveloped Emperor Wu Tianjian's sword. Slash! Emperor Wu Tianjian's sword released dazzling and aggressive energies, lacerating everything in its path. It also released empty space energy, so now the enlightenment marks couldn't resist it. Bzzz. Inside the sky-absorbing picture scroll, the enlightenment marks became golden as a pair of eyes appeared. Emperor Qi. Lin Feng was astonished. Those eyes were Emperor Qi's eyes. The sky-absorbing picture scroll was Emperor Qi's imperial weapon, but he had lent it to Qi Yin to steal treasures. Since Emperor Wu Tianjian's sword was damaging it, it awoke the emperor's intent. Emperor Wu Tianjian's sword. Let's see how strong you are. Terrifyingly sharp empty space enlightenment energies emerged from the emperor's eyes and moved towards Emperor Wu Tianjian's sword. They acted like vines tying up Emperor Wu Tianjian's sword. CRRR CRRR. Emperor Wu Tianjian's sword whistled furiously as it became even larger. Qi Yin looked surprised. He hadn't thought that the emperor's intent would awaken. If it hadn't, the sky-absorbing picture scroll would have broken apart already. Now Lin Feng was certainly going to die. The emperor's intent released more energies as it looked down at the sword and said, "Even if you're Emperor Wu Tianjian's sword, you have to be respectful." Then, terrifying intent appeared in the enlightenment marks inside the sword and dazzling energies surrounded Emperor Wu Tianjian's sword. "Is that so?" said a voice inside the empty space. The eyes from the emperor's intent looked surprised. "Who's that?" shouted Emperor Qi furiously. But then, sword lights emerged and moved straight towards his eyes. "Stop!" shouted Emperor Qi furiously. Boom! Those sword lights struck the pair of eyes and broke them. Then the empty space enlightenment marks broke as well. Emperor Wu Tianjian's sword whistled and struck the empty space. Explosions sounded as a black hole appeared in the air. The sky-absorbing picture scroll, an imperial weapon, is broken. People were astonished. An incredible sword qi then dashed to the skies. Lin Feng and the strong cultivators from Jiang'e appeared. That voice. It had destroyed the emperor's intent. That was the intent of Emperor Wu Tianjian's sword. Ancestor. Jian Mu and the others were astonished. They looked at the gigantic sword in the sky with respect. That was their ancestor's intent. So maybe their ancestor was still alive. Is that really Emperor Wu Tianjian's sword? Thought Lin Feng. Slash. The sword swallowed sword qi and turned to Qi Yin. Qi Yin's face turned deathly pale. He was doomed. He wanted to steal Emperor Wu Tianjian's sword, but he hadn't thought the sky-absorbing picture scroll would break. Now, could he stop Emperor Wu Tianjian's sword? "Let's go," said someone else. The strong cultivators from Tianlong Divine Castle wanted to escape as well. Slash. Emperor Wu Tianjian's sword streaked across the sky. Qi Yin jumped, trying to use his empty space agility technique to escape, but it was useless. Emperor Wu Tianjian's sword chased him and tore apart his empty space. Then it lacerated his body, and Qi Yin was dead. Lin Feng followed the sword and at the same time he shouted, "Kill the members from the Qi clan." "Roger, young master," said the strong cultivators from Jiang'e. They turned into sharp swords and chased the cultivators from the Qi clan. Blood splashed as all of the strong cultivators were being killed. Imperial weapons and Peerless holy weapons had all broken apart. Even Qi Yin had died. A Zun cultivator had gone to Lin Feng's clan to kill them. But other than that, the situation didn't look good for the Qi clan. Emperor Wu Tianjian's sword, after killing Qi Yin, flew back into Lin Feng's body. Just like Lin Feng had said, he hadn't used up his second chance. Lin Feng grabbed Qi Yin's ring and put it in his own ring. A cultivator at the top of the Zun Qi layer probably had incredible treasures. Very quickly, all the Zun cultivators from the Qi clan were killed. Without a cultivator at the top of the Zun Qi layer, they couldn't compete with Jian Mu and the others. Let's go to Yangzhou City, said Lin Feng. Some members from the Qi clan, including Qi Tiansu, then headed over to Yangzhou City. Even though there were 2 cultivators at the top of the Zun Qi layer, and 2 powerful groups already in the palace, Lin Feng was still worried. With Jian Mu and the others, they could move even faster. Sword fusion. Everybody nodded and turned into whistling swords. Then, they became one gigantic sword which streaked across the sky. Even though Jianghe fell a long time ago, Emperor Wu Tianjian's descendants are still very strong, thought the crowd, sighing. Young master, come on, said the whistling sword appearing in front of Lin Feng. Lin Feng jumped on the sword and they all disappeared. Maybe Lin Feng has received Emperor Wu Tianjian's teachings, thought the remaining crowd. Lin Feng had risen way too fast. At the time of his battle against Shui Baiyao, not too many people knew him. After Fortune City, he had then fought many people and amazed the entire province. Besides, Lin Feng's sword techniques were powerful, and he could control Emperor Wu Tianjian's sword. Jianghe's people even respected and obeyed him. The only possibility was that he had received Emperor Wu Tianjian's teachings. Otherwise, there was no explanation. At that moment, in Yangzhou City, Qi Tiansu and another cultivator at the top of the Zun Qi layer arrived in Yangzhou City. Die! Shouted Qi Tiansu furiously. He immediately punched the air in the direction of the palace. His punch hit the palace, making it shake, and even killing some people. Activate the deployment spell, shouted someone furiously. At the same time, Sword Qi shot up into the sky and someone shouted, "Who dares?" 2 sharp swords rose up in the air. 2 Zun cultivators. There are some cultivators at the top of the Zun Qi layer here, thought Qi Tiansu. Lin Feng was farsighted. Uncle, take out the other Peerless holy weapon, the empty space chains. Let's kill all of them while tying up his family members. Then we'll see if Lin Feng will release my sister or not, said Qi Tiansu. Chapter 1276. Ba Huang's turmoil. Qi Tiansu's third uncle nodded and took out some gigantic golden chains. Die! Shouted Qi Tiansu's third uncle furiously. The millions of golden chains instantly surrounded everybody. Sword assassin! Jianling Kong and Jianling Shao attacked too. 2 sharp swords moved towards Qi Tiansu and his third uncle. Stop! The 2 cultivators at the top of the Zun Qi layer couldn't see anyone. They could only see those chains. Lacerate! Metallic ringing sounds wailed. The 2 cultivators at the top of the Zun Qi layer looked upset. The chains were too solid. Their sword Qi couldn't cut them. A single chain attack wasn't very powerful alone, but there were millions of them. The chains continued emitting metallic ringing sounds as they activated the deployment spell. But it soon broke under the chains. Uncle, don't kill them, capture them. Qi Tiansu reminded him. Qi Tiansu, you want to die, said someone in the distance. Then, they saw a gigantic sword arriving. Qi Tiansu's third uncle was surprised. He recalled the chains and had them attack the gigantic sword instead. Lin Feng rose up in the air as the gigantic sword clashed with those from the Qi clan. Boom! A terrifying collision sounded as the chains couldn't stop the sword Qi anymore. So many strong cultivators from Jianghe had turned into one sword and thus one attack. The chains shook as they surrounded the gigantic sword again. The cultivator then used his empty space agility technique to create some distance between them. Slash! But Sword Qi quickly streaked across the sky and moved towards him. His face turned deathly pale. Lacerate! The gigantic sword moved towards Qi Tiansu's third uncle again. 3 cultivators at the top of the Zun Qi layer from Jianghe also moved towards him. Each sword attack contained terrifying sword Qi. Even if a cultivator had a strong physical body, they would find it difficult to block such an attack. What happened to Qi Yin? What about the sky-absorbing picture scroll? How had Lin Feng escaped from them? Qi Tiansu knew that the sky-absorbing picture scroll contained the emperor's intent, so there shouldn't have been a reason to lose. Slash! The chains couldn't block the sword Qi. Two cultivators at the top of the Zunqi layer, from Jiang'a, fused together to create another large sword. "Break!" shouted the cultivator at the top of the Zunqi layer from the Qi clan. He released broken space punches in a desperate attempt to fend them off. "Disperse!" The gigantic sword dispersed and the strong cultivators from Jiang'a reappeared while releasing even more sword qi. "No!" The sword lacerated the cultivator at the top of the Zunqi layer from the Qi clan. Blood splashed and he was dead. Jianmu then grabbed the chains. Qi Tiansu's face turned deathly pale. His uncle, a high-level Zun cultivator, was dead. He couldn't escape anymore. "Lin Feng!" shouted Qi Tiansu, glaring at Lin Feng. "Do you still want to kill my family?" asked Lin Feng. If he had arrived a second too late, the entire palace would have been crushed. The three heroes of the Qi clan? So what? "Die!" yelled Lin Feng. "Lacerate!" Jianling Kong and Jianling Xiao released their own sword qi. Qi Tiansu's face turned deathly pale as he used his empty space agility technique. He jumped into an empty space and reappeared somewhere else. But the cultivators at the top of the Zunqi layer, from Jiang'a, were too fast. The two cultivators quickly surrounded Qi Tiansu again, and two sword lights moved towards him. Boom, boom, boom! Explosions sounded and a silhouette appeared a few meters away. Lin Feng was astonished. Qi Tiansu had managed to escape. "Young master, he has an emperor's memory imprint," said Jianmu to Lin Feng. Lin Feng nodded. Amongst the three heroes from the Qi clan, Qi Tiansu and Qi Tiansheng were the strongest ones. They had all been on the list of the 10 strongest young cultivators of Bahuang, so they had the potential to become emperors. But Lin Feng had killed Qi Tiansheng and Qi Tiansu was the last one the Qi clan had left, so they couldn't afford losing him as well. "Little Feng!" shouted Lin Hai, rising up in the air. When Lin Hai saw that Lin Feng was safe and sound, he calmed down a little. He had seen his son fly up into the 9 dark clouds in the sky, so he feared the worst. "Dad, don't worry, I'm fine," said Lin Feng, smiling at his father. Lin Feng was more concerned about those emperors than himself. But what Lin Feng didn't know was that the emperors, who had gone back to Bahuang province, were injured by the demonic energies, which had and still were corroding their bodies. Especially Emperor Peng, whose soul had been injured. He wanted to settle the score with Emperor Lei and the Great Ape Emperor because in his opinion, they hadn't helped enough. Because of what had happened in Shuiyu, the Bahuang province wasn't calm anymore. There were wars occurring everywhere. Plus with the conflicts between the Qi clan, Tianlong Divine Castle, the Sunset Pavilion and Tiantai, the people from the Bahuang province knew the future held many troubled waters. Shuiyu was only the emperor's first battlefield. Chapter 1277. Dragon's Vein in Tiantai. In the sky above of the sky, 2 people were sitting in wooden chairs, enjoying the calmness and tranquility around them. The situation in Bahuang province is becoming more and more chaotic. "That's a good thing for us," said one of them, smiling calmly to the other. "That old man was Emperor Yu. You shouldn't be gloating over people's misfortune. Do you think Tiantai could really take over the entire province alone?" asked Emperor Yu, laughing. Tianlong Divine Castle, the Sunset Pavilion, the Imperial Assassin Union, they're all quite strong themselves. And we weren't in Shuiyu this time, so getting involved won't be easy, said the person next to Emperor Yu, smiling. "Don't forget that the meeting of the emperors is going to take place soon. Besides, the only geniuses who are rising are Tiantais. Ho Qing Lin, Ruoxia, Qi Heir Lin Feng, Qiuyu Xian, Lin Feng's wife Meng Qing. Those people all have the potential to become emperors. Even though the other powerful groups aren't as strong as us, they also have many geniuses. We also don't know all of their powerful and talented cultivators. Some of them might have not shown themselves yet. For example, there might be some geniuses who broke through to the Zunqi layer just before the event in Fortune City started, so they didn't go. Indeed, maybe there are some incredible cultivators that we don't know about it, but I'm sure that they'll show themselves soon enough. Besides, isn't Tiantai the same?" The 2 people glanced at each other and laughed. An incredible era was starting in the Bahuang province. What had happened in Shui had only accelerated the process. From now on, the Bahuang province would be a battlefield. While those two people were talking and relaxing, many Tian and Zun level cultivators wanted to use the Tiansu teleportation portal to go to the two small worlds. Both probably had incredible treasures after all. The influential imperial groups weren't the only ones who dispatched people. The other influential groups from the small worlds of Bahuang also dispatched their people. Even if they didn't get any treasures, seeing Empress Shi and the Netherworld Demon Emperor's small worlds would be a great opportunity. The One clan was facing the entire province now that everybody wanted to use the Tiansu teleportation portal. The One clan couldn't turn it off anymore because if they did, they'd have even more enemies. Shuiyu's people were growing accustomed to it. They had seen the Netherworld Demon Emperor. They had heard the 9 Netherworlds demonic song. What could be more frightening than those things? Lin Feng was at the periphery of Yangzhou City. He didn't need to go to the Yinhai mountain range anymore, because the Netherworld Demon Emperor's small world had already reached the edge of Yangzhou City. It was surrounding Empress Shi's small world even. Young master, maybe it's a good thing for Shuiyu. From now on, we will become stronger and richer thanks to those two small worlds, said Jianmu to Lin Feng when he saw him looking pensive. He understood what Lin Feng was thinking. Lin Feng remained silent and smiled. You're right. It's a good thing for Shuiyu. I am just not open-minded enough. It's as if I hoped that Shuiyu would stay a small and peaceful country forever. But is that what they want? There's no need to follow me anymore. If I need you, I'll break the sword talisman again, said Lin Feng. Then he left. Jianmu and the others didn't refute Lin Feng's words. Their young master was their ancestor's sword. They weren't so worried about him. In any case of real danger, their ancestor's sword could appear and fight. Lin Feng went to the small world, but changed his face and chi beforehand. Tianlong Divine Castle and the Qi clan were after him, so doing normal things while being hunted wasn't convenient. But he could come out as Black Mage once in a while too. Lin Feng walked in the Netherworld Demon Emperor's small world. Nobody paid any special attention to him. He had just broken through to the 8th Tianqi layer. So in that small world, he was considered rather weak. Of course, even though there were many strong cultivators in there, the small world was so big that there was enough space for everyone. Even while glancing around, it was difficult to see anyone. Zun cultivators were sometimes running alone in the sky, and then descended to rob things from weaker people. A corpse. Lin Feng arrived in a mountain range in the Netherworld Demon Emperor's small world. There was a pitch-black decaying qi emanating from a demonic-like mountain. Lin Feng came across a corpse there. It was in a sitting position. Its bones were black. Not just one. Lin Feng was surprised to see several corpses. Maybe those people were the Netherworld Demon Emperor's disciples. That black mountain was probably the place where they used to practice cultivation. Many people are looking for treasures here, thought Lin Feng. There were more than a few silhouettes in the surroundings, including a girl in blue clothes. Her cultivation level was low though. She had only broken through to the 5th Tianqi layer. She sensed that Lin Feng was looking at her, so she turned around. Lin Feng smiled back at her. Suddenly, Lin Feng was astonished because he realized he knew that girl. Surprisingly, she was one of the 10 strongest young cultivators from the Dragon Mountain Empire. Qing Meng Xan. Mister, why do you look at a young girl like me? Said Qing Meng Xan smiling, when she saw that Lin Feng was smiling at her. Mister. Lin Feng laughed. Back in the days, Qing Meng Xan and Lin Feng were good friends. They had even participated in the great competition of Shuiyu together. But now she was calling him Mister. Qing Meng Xian and you were both from Dragon Mountain. I wonder if Dragon Mountain has news about you, thought Lin Feng. He said, seeing a little girl looking for treasures in dead bodies, that's a bit unusual. Mister, even though your cultivation level is higher than mine, you don't seem that old. Why are you calling me little girl? Said Qing Meng Xian. Besides, mister, you probably know what's going on here. There are many strong cultivators here. So cultivators like us can only stay aside to hunt treasures, because our cultivation level is too low. Lin Feng walked towards Qing Ming Xian and said, "Is that so?" She smiled and said, "Well, you probably have noticed it too, right?" "Notice what?" Lin Feng was being funny on purpose. He didn't think she'd know anything. "Mister, I'm thinking that the demon emperor who appeared might be practicing cultivation in the mountain range," said Qing Ming Xian. "Why?" asked Lin Feng. "Come with me, mister," said Qing Ming Xian, rising up in the air. Lin Feng followed her. "Mister, look over there in the horizon, but don't look at the white world, look at the blackness," said Qing Ming Xian, pointing at a distant place. Lin Feng had only looked at the netherworld demon emperor's small world. He didn't look at Empress Shi's small world. He then realized that there was a kind of black demonic dragon in the distance, which had Empress Shi's small world in its arms. "Mister, isn't that a dragon's vein?" asked Qing Ming Xian, smiling. Lin Feng smiled wryly. There were so many strong cultivators there. Lin Feng wouldn't have thought that a weak cultivator, like Qing Ming Xian, would discover something incredible like a dragon's vein. Chapter 1278. Eternal battle. Since it's a dragon vein, there must be an incredible qi there, whispered Lin Feng. There were more corpses in that direction. "The dragon's head is there," said Qing Ming Xian, pointing at the horizon. The gigantic dragon's head was not far from its tail, since it was surrounding Empress Shi's small world. What a strange small world. Small worlds are always a bit strange anyways, thought Lin Feng. He started walking towards the border between the two small worlds. Lin Feng saw something which looked like gigantic dragon's teeth, and it was breathing. Lin Feng arrived near the mouth and looked inside. It was black inside, and it contained a terrifying demonic qi. Maybe the demon emperor really is practicing cultivation here. It's just that when people come here, they're too afraid that the demonic qi could corrode their bodies, said Lin Feng. Qing Ming Xian smiled wryly and said, "I can go in. I'm too weak." "I'm going inside," said Lin Feng. Then he entered the dragon mouth. The mouth was deep. Lin Feng walked for a while before arriving in a huge flatland filled with demonic energies. It's a demon land, thought Lin Feng. That area vast, and even though it was dark, he could see everything clearly. Every inch was filled with demonic energies. His godly awareness couldn't even inspect it all because there was too much. A real demon emperor's cave, thought Lin Feng. There were many lofty trees which were precious treasures for anyone who practiced demonic cultivation. Those were demon Bodhi trees, like back then in Death Valley, next to the Three Lives Demon Emperor. But the Three Lives Demon Emperor had been sealed. This here is a genuine cultivation place for a demonic emperor. Each demon Bodhi tree has a terrifying strength and contains incredible demonic energies. It's like just looking at those trees is enough to turn you into a demon, thought Lin Feng. I'm taking those Bodhi trees and Bodhi fruits. Lin Feng then stored them away in his ring. Many people were hunting treasures. Other people would take those if he didn't. Very quickly, he took all of them, and only one last tree was left, and it was gigantic. It was impossible to see the top of that tree from the ground. There were gigantic Bodhi fruits on it even. That Bodhi tree alone could make a sect go insane, thought Lin Feng. He walked forwards, and it felt like he was going to suffocate under its pressure. That qi seemed like it was going to swallow him. At that moment, Lin Feng sensed a strength which prevented him from moving forwards, as if he had entered a forbidden area. Lin Feng released his own demonic energies into his hands. With them, he managed to break the energies which prevented him from moving forwards. Then he continued walking. What's that? Lin Feng frowned. At the foot of the tree were two silhouettes. They weren't releasing any qi, but their demonic energies made Lin Feng gulp down. The Netherworld Demon Emperor. Lin Feng approached the tree and realized that one of the people sitting below the tree was the Netherworld Demon Emperor, the one who had sung the song. The Netherworld Demon Emperor is still there. Then who's the other person? The Netherworld Demon Emperor's enemy? Thought Lin Feng. Someone was facing the Netherworld Demon Emperor while sitting cross-legged. It was another demon cultivator, but he looked rather calm. Actually, neither of them looked scared. Who is that demon cultivator who dares face the Netherworld Demon Emperor? thought Lin Feng. Was it the demon-sealing Great Emperor, who could control demon emperors? Bzzz. A terrifying chi gushed out, and the two cultivators rose up in the air and moved aside. Demon Bodhi Tree. Lin Feng walked towards the Demon Bodhi Tree. He released a gigantic demon hand and grabbed the Demon Bodhi Tree. Rise! Shouted Lin Feng furiously. The ground shook as terrifying demonic energies surrounded Lin Feng's body. How could he give up so easily? Lin Feng knew that the two silhouettes he had just seen weren't real. They were just apparitions, traces of leftover intent. Maybe it was an apparition of what had happened in the past. Rise! Shouted Lin Feng bestially. The ground continued shaking before finally, he sensed that the tree was rising a little. Boom! A loud sound spread in the air as Lin Feng managed to raise the Demon Bodhi Tree into the air. He put the tree in his ring and looked at the sky. Then he rose up in the air. He wanted to see who dared face the Netherworld Demon Emperor. Outside, Qingming Xian saw two demons come out. One of them was definitely the Netherworld Demon Emperor. Is he dead? Thought Qingming Xian when she saw the demons. However, someone else came out. Qingming Xian then shouted, Mr. Lin Feng smiled at her and nodded. Then he gazed into the horizon. The two demons were still staring at each other, their demonic robes fluttering in the wind. Elsewhere in the small world, many people noticed that, so they came closer. The Netherworld Demon Emperor was back. That's battle intent, thought many people, gasping with amazement. Two people had fought here, and after such a long time, their battle energies hadn't dispersed. Who's that? Wondered some people when they saw the person facing the Netherworld Demon Emperor. His chi isn't any weaker than the Netherworld Demon Emperor's chi. What are their cultivation levels? Lin Feng looked at the two silhouettes in the sky. His own demonic chi kept rolling in waves, as if he couldn't control his demonic chi anymore. Qingming Xian was surprised and moved backwards. Lin Feng had only broken through to the 8th Tianqi layer, and could still stand there. How strong! Even some Zun cultivators couldn't handle those energies. But Lin Feng didn't pay attention to anyone else. Eternally the best emperor, Demon Emperor's real body, said a voice which resonated in people's heads. Chapter 1279. The Demogorgon Seriatim Symphony, Dead Body Curse the Demon Emperor. Each time Lin Feng heard that name, it made him shiver. Back in the Jade Emperor's palace, the Jade Emperor had made statues for 3 emperors and a great emperor, which contained some of their intent. However, the Jade Emperor had relied on his own intent to make those statues, so the intent the statues possessed were not genuine. Eternal Demon Emperor. He had amazed the entire continent. Some people landed there and looked at the demons, which gradually became blurred. Black clouds appeared. The Netherworld Demon Emperor seemed to be singing his 9 Netherworlds demonic song, which then turned into the 9 Netherworlds water and moved towards the Demon Emperor. The 9 Netherworlds water quickly turned into a lake. However, demons appeared around the Demon Emperor. 18 demon generals. The crowd recognized what they were. What terrifying creatures! Who could resist such a demonic army? The Demogorgon Seriatim Symphony. The cultivators at the top of the Zunqi layer were even shaking. That was the legendary Demogorgon Seriatim Symphony, another one of the 9 demonic songs. The Demogorgon Seriatim Symphony enables cultivators to invoke demon generals to fight on their side. The 9 songs might be forbidden songs, but they are very powerful. The 9 Netherworlds demonic song is used to control people, while the Demogorgon Seriatim Symphony is used to invoke demons, said a cultivator of the top of the Zunqi layer. The Demon Emperor also controls one of the 9 songs, whispered Lin Feng. The apparition in the sky slowly dispersed and vanished. Lin Feng was disappointed. It was an apparition from the past, so it had to vanish at some point. But still, he wanted to see the battle between the Netherworld Demon Emperor and the Demon Emperor. Everybody else looked disappointed. Lin Feng wasn't the only one. But then their disappointment was replaced by excitement as they looked at the nest of devils. They came out from there. The crowd quickly ran over to the dark cave. Lin Feng knew that people would find that place at some point. Luckily, he had taken all the Bodhi trees already. Are you going in too? Asked Lin Feng when he saw that Qing Meng Xian was following the other cultivators. Yes, other people are leading the way, so it can't be that dangerous inside, said Qing Meng Xian smiling. Lin Feng smiled back. Sometimes people had simplistic views, but it was also a logical conclusion. Is there a problem, mister? Asked Qing Meng Xian looking naive. He was wondering how Lan Jiao was doing. Nothing, let's go, said Lin Feng entering the cave again. The crowd continued walking forwards. Some people released their godly awareness, but couldn't see everything because of the size of the cave. There's a demon palace hall, said someone. A demonic palace hall soon appeared in their fields of vision. There was a praying mat with a silhouette on it. The Netherworld Demon Emperor's silhouette. It was an apparition as well. Another apparition, thought the crowd. They couldn't imagine what it was like to be a great emperor. Boom! A demonic light moved straight into someone's brain. That person instantly became petrified. Their body turned pitch black, and they turned into a statue. Ah! A horrible shriek spread in the air. Someone else was being corroded by the demonic lights. His chi was turning demonic. He couldn't control it. Finally the demon chi filled his body, and he exploded. Arg! Someone shouted who turned around and ran away. That person hadn't even made it a few steps inside the palace hall. His facial expression suddenly looked ice-cold, as he had turned into a demonic slave. Die! Shouted that person as then he threw himself at people outside the palace hall. Some people joined hands to attack and kill him. Lin Feng and Qing Meng Xian arrived too, but they stayed behind the crowd. The people in front of them were almost all Zun cultivators. Those demonic lights are so scary, said Qing Meng Xian. Someone heard Qing Meng Xian and looked at her in a cold way. Tap tap. Qing Meng Xian moved back as if she had realized something. Come here, said a Zun cultivator to Qing Meng Xian. Mister, how may I help you? Asked Qing Meng Xian, petrified with fear. Get your ass over here, said that person while releasing qi which surrounded Qing Meng Xian's body. Qing Meng Xian's face turned deathly pale. That person probably wanted to kill her. Lin Feng stepped in front of her, and Qing Meng Xian suddenly felt much safer. If you want to go in, just go in yourself. There's no need to try and push other people inside, said Lin Feng indifferently. The cultivator smiled in a cold way. A cultivator of the 8th Tian Qi layer dares talk to a Zun cultivator that way. Get the hell over here too. Boom! Lin Feng stepped forwards and released cursing energies. Cursing strength. That person was shocked for a moment. La la la. That person shook his hand as a thick and strong tree appeared and shot out towards Lin Feng. Wood type. That person must have a plant spirit. Lin Feng took out an amulet and placed it in the air in front of him. Curse, said Lin Feng in a deep voice. In a flash, qi surrounded the tree and began corroding it. Amulet cursing technique. Come back, said Lin Feng. The tree turned around and moved towards its owner, who now looked surprised. You're just an ant trying to shake a tree, said that cultivator. He shook his hand and released energies. But in that place, it was difficult to release powerful attacks while fending off the demonic energies. But it was probably sufficient to cripple a Tian-level cultivator's cultivation. Cursing spell swallow. Cursing strength moved towards Lin Feng's enemy. The enemy's tree turned into dust, and the enemy's face looked strange, as the cursing strength was now corroding his body. Die, said Lin Feng. His soul was cursed now. He suddenly looked extremely old, his face turned deathly pale. He was wailing mournfully. Then he collapsed. What a strange and enigmatic strength. Once cursed, they can barely fight anymore, thought Lin Feng. Even though that was a low-level Zun cultivator, his cultivation level was still higher than Lin Feng's. He's dead, thought the crowd. They were astonished and looking at Lin Feng in a strange way. Rise, said Lin Feng. Suddenly, that person's body rose up again. The crowd was surprised again he was dead. But that wasn't enough for Lin Feng. He was going to curse his soul and spirit. According to the legends, strong cultivators who used black magic could make armies of the dead rise and fight on their side. It seems absolutely possible. Chapter 1280. More and more intense demon eyes. He can use dead spirits, thought the crowd. Two words came to mind when they looked at Lin Feng. Black mage. Geniuses were rising, and a black mage had even appeared. Besides, his cultivation level was high, but his fighting abilities were terrifying. He had only broken through to the 8th Tianqi layer, and could already defeat Zun cultivators. Qingming Xian was astonished. Lin Feng had easily killed a Zun cultivator. Thank you, whispered Qingming Xian. If Lin Feng hadn't been there, she would have died. Lin Feng nodded and said to her, using telepathy, "Don't get close to those people, just stay away and observe." The dead Zun cultivator slowly walked into the palace hall, and everybody was watching him. Not bad, we don't need to risk our lives anymore, thought the crowd. Many people had thought of trying to force someone to go in, a weaker cultivator, but since the black mage was there, they didn't need to do that anymore. He didn't get attacked, thought the crowd, staring at the dead body. What a terrifying demonic intent, thought Lin Feng. The dead body raised his head and looked at the walls. There were many patterns, and all those drawings were of the Netherworld Demon Emperor. However, each picture contained a different intent. If I didn't use the dead body, I wouldn't be able to handle such a terrifying demonic intent, even though I practiced demonic skills myself, thought Lin Feng. His eyes had become dark. It was as if demonic intent was starting to consume him. The Netherworld Demon Emperor's intent is carved into those walls. They died because they couldn't handle his intent. So once inside, it's best not to look at the patterns, and also not to use your godly awareness to inspect the room, said Lin Feng calmly when he saw that everybody was staring at him. If we don't use our eyes to study them, and if we don't study the energies, how do we go in at all? Whispered many people. However, at that moment, a strong cultivator entered the palace hall. It was a strong Zun cultivator who had opened his eyes, but was only looking in front of him. He had also completely blocked his godly awareness. The black mage is right, I'm fine. Then crowd followed him inside the palace hall and did the same. Mister, are you not going in? Asked Qingming Xian to Lin Feng. My cultivation level is too low, I don't dare, said Lin Feng smiling. Even if he stayed at the entrance of the room, it would be the same as practicing inside the room. Inside the palace hall, the dead body was observing one pattern in particular, and Lin Feng was using the eyes of that dead body to study the patterns. In his brain, in his pitch-black eyes, a demon appeared who was releasing incredible energies. Boom! Qingming Xian looked at those demonic eyes and shivered. She moved back and closed her eyes. She didn't dare look at Lin Feng's eyes again. How terrifying, thought Qingming Xian. In Dragon Mountain, she was like a frog in a well. She was amongst some of the most outstanding young cultivators from the empire. She couldn't even look them in the eyes. Lin Feng already had a thread of the Netherworld Demon Emperor's soul in him. He had the feeling two demons were fighting in his eyes. His previous intent was slowly being absorbed by a new one, which was then becoming his own demon intent. Lin Feng's celestial book spirit opened itself automatically. Lin Feng sat down cross-legged and appeared in his desolate world. Enlightenment marks appeared and energies flowed inside. Two sorts of qi started fighting. His demonic energies kept rolling and changing. Finally, they slowly fused together. Outside of his spirit, his real body was also surrounded by demonic energies, and his demonic skills were changing automatically. Many of the remaining Zun cultivators moved away from him, just in case. I couldn't understand a small part of it, but I did learn two threads of demonic intent, thought Lin Feng. The dead body Lin Feng was using raised his head and looked at a second demon emperor's pattern. Lin Feng could sense the terrifying demonic intent penetrate into his mind. Then it would start fighting against the other sorts of demonic intent he already had. More people were showing up as even more people died from curiosity. Those who had gone in first weren't going to warn them, because they didn't want to share any treasures with the others. Of course, there was the silhouette of the Netherworld Demon Emperor as well. Some people tried to study it, but they immediately died. Lin Feng was happy to have the dead body to study several demonic patterns. Time passed slowly. Some people gave up and left, but the dead body was still there. In the palace hall, a Zun cultivator lost patience and looked at the dead body Lin Feng was controlling. When he saw that the dead body could look at the patterns on the wall, he became angry and slapped it on the head. The dead body slowly turned around and looked at that Zoom cultivator. His eyes were filled with demonic energies. Ah! That Zoom cultivator gave a horrible shriek. Those energies had blinded him, so no, he was frantic. At the same time, Lin Feng, who was still outside of the palace hall, released black demonic energies which invaded the room. Die, said Lin Feng. The dead body put his hands on that person's head and crushed his skull. At the same time, Lin Feng released even more demonic qi into the room. Many people looked at him and started shaking terrified. Even those who were a lot stronger than Lin Feng couldn't look at his eyes. Demonic eyes. Chapter 1281. A Demoniac Concerto. Not only is he an incredible black mage, but he's also an incredible demon cultivator, thought the Zoom cultivators. Lin Feng raised his head and looked at the walls. He directly looked at some of the demonic patterns, and then demonic intent penetrated into his eyes. At the same time, Lin Feng's demonic eyes released dazzling black lights, which collided with the demon intent. Now he could look at them with his own eyes without being injured. However, Lin Feng was still a bit cautious because he knew just how powerful they were. His demonic eyes twinkled as he looked at more of the walls, then turned around and looked at the Netherworld Demon Emperor's silhouette. He walked towards him and sat down cross-legged next to him. He sat down facing the Netherworld Demon Emperor and released his own demonic qi. He stared at him and studied the Demon Emperor's intent. What an incredible guy! He's using the Netherworld Demon Emperor's intent to study demon cultivation. The Netherworld Demon Emperor's intent was incredibly powerful and aggressive. Those people weren't demon cultivators, so they couldn't understand demon intent. If they directly tried to understand any of it, they could get hurt. Lin Feng's robe was fluttering from the wailing energies, and so did his long black hair. The demonic intent in his pitch-black eyes were getting even more intense. Around his body, the demonic intent had turned into a vortex. Someday, he'll be an incredible demon king, thought the crowd. They were also wondering, was he a high-level disciple of the Devamara Palace? The Devamara Palace was a mysterious, influential imperial group in the sanguinary part of Bahuang. Even the Abyss of Sufferings couldn't deal with the Devamara Palace, proving how powerful they were. However, it was extremely rare to see Devamara Palace's disciples come out. Many people didn't even know how strong their younger disciples were. Considering his way of practicing cultivation, that young man could only be from the Devamara Palace. He even knew the sorcerer's arts. At that moment the palace shook slightly. The demon palace. The palace was shaking more and more. Bzzz. At that moment, the myriad of demon emperor's patterns on the walls started shining brightly. Demon intent started flooding the room. The crowd didn't look at them, but they could still sense how terrifying the energies were. Boom! The terrifying demon intent turned into a statue and penetrated into the demon emperor's silhouette, making him become more distinct. Boom, boom, boom! The demon palace continued shaking and the demon statue became even more dazzling. The demon emperor's silhouette now contained millions of different sorts of intent, which were making him appear more distinct, as if his real body had started appearing. His hair was pitch black and fluttering with the energies. Fusion. A long time ago, the demon emperor had turned into many threads of demonic intent, and now his different types of intent were fusing together and turning back into the demon emperor's body. Get him! The crowd suddenly burst into an uproar. That was a real physical body. Maybe it was the demon emperor. If so, then it probably contained a demon great emperor's intent and memories. A cultivator at the top of the Zun Qi layer jumped forwards and raised his hands, wanting to grab the body. Steal it! Everybody started running towards the demon emperor's body, but at that moment, all the hands stopped. Some of their hands turned black, corroded by the demonic energies. Someone gave a horrible shriek. They got too close to the demon emperor, so their body turned black from head to foot. Then he turned into a demon. Nine Netherworld's demonic song. The crowd recognized the technique. Then, they heard the song and realized that the sound waves were moving towards them. He can create music even though he's dead, thought the crowd. Many people ran backwards and put their hands over their ears. However, they couldn't prevent the sound waves from piercing through their eardrums and resonating in their brains. The Nine Netherworld's demonic song is a demon melody, which allows the user to control people. Even though that demon emperor is dead, his physical body still wants to control us cultivators. That thread of consciousness he left must have been created while he practiced the Nine Netherworld's demonic song. No. Someone else was corroded by the demonic sound waves. He turned into a demon and stopped moving, like lifeless body or a zombie. That song is too terrifying. A cultivator at the top of the Zunqi layer was also slowly turning into a black body. We can only give up, thought the cultivator at the top of the Zunqi layer. He looked terribly unhappy as he turned around and left the palace hall. If he stayed in there any longer, he'd end up like the others, a demon slave. When that cultivator at the top of the Zunqi layer left, he glanced at Lin Feng, who was still sitting there cross-legged. Demon energies were emanating from his body, so he was wondering if he was turning into a demon or not. What he didn't know was that the Nine Netherworld's demonic song he had heard wasn't solo. It was an orchestra. Lin Feng was facing the Netherworld Demon Emperor, as the celestial water from the Nine Netherworlds appeared in his pitch-black eyes. The Nine Netherworld's demonic song continued resonating in the air, fusing with the sound waves. A thread of demonic consciousness, a real body, a concerto of demonic songs. Lin Feng couldn't sing the Nine Netherworld's demonic song. He had learnt it a short time before, but he hadn't really tried to learn or practice it yet. However, he had the intent from the Demon Emperor in his body, and he was using it to face the energies of the song and absorb them. Those songs in unison seemed to be teaching him how to sing the Nine Netherworld's demonic song. The sound waves invaded the entire cave. All the people who hadn't left all turned into demons. Their bodies turned black, and their strength turned into demon intent. Lin Feng was surrounded by demonic qi as a demon silhouette appeared behind him. Lin Feng's qi rose up in the air and fused together with the energies from the songs. A demon body. Lin Feng suddenly opened his eyes, and a light out from his eyes into the Demon Emperor's eyes. The Demon Emperor's demonic lights which surging from his eyes also collided with Lin Feng's. They seemed to be fusing together, and at the same time, they were surrounded by the energies from the demonic songs. Demonic qi emerged from Lin Feng's body and rolled in waves. The strength of his qi had changed too. It was now at the 9th Tianqi layer. Chapter 1282. Demon determination rising to the skies. The Nine Netherworld are resonating in unison. The source of the Nine Netherworlds had appeared in Lin Feng's pitch-black pupils. He smiled in a resplendent way. "Rise," said Lin Feng. In a flash, the demon body slowly stood up. Its demonic intent was rising to the skies. Its pitch-black pupils looked ice-cold, and he looked emotionless. "Nine Netherworld's energies, you're mine," thought Lin Feng, smiling with satisfaction. He turned around and looked at the strong cultivators surrounded by demonic energies. The Nine Netherworld's demonic song had taken control of their bodies. "Kneel down," said Lin Feng. His voice resonated in the room as all the demon slaves knelt down. "Stand up," said Lin Feng, glancing at them. Not only could he use the energies from the demon songs, but he could also control those who had turned into demon slaves. Everybody stood up after his command. Imperial scriptures are incredible. Even though I only have the strength of the 9th Tianqi layer, those energies completely purified my demonic strength. I can now pollute low-level Zun cultivators' pure qi. I can also use even more powerful skills now, thought Lin Feng. Now, even if he used his Cosmos Burning Sun technique, which came from Tian-level scriptures, it would never be as powerful as his demonic intent. My Cosmos Burning Sun technique is not powerful enough. I need to find some scriptures to replace it, thought Lin Feng. Lin Feng glanced around. Apart from the marks and the demonic patterns, that place had nothing of interest. That was just a place where the Netherworld Demon Emperor came to practice cultivation. The Netherworld Demon Emperor wouldn't bring his treasures to that room. Lin Feng was probably right, that the Netherworld Demon Emperor and Empress, she had their treasures with them. Or maybe on Empress Shi's body, which the Netherworld Demon Emperor had taken with him when he left. There were some other marks inside the palace hall, but they weren't useful for Lin Feng, because he couldn't understand them. To understand all the marks written by great emperors, he had to at least have the strength of a cultivation emperor. Boom, boom, boom. At that moment, the demon palace shook violently, as if a mountain was collapsing. Lin Feng raised his head. They couldn't stay in here, so they want to destroy the palace, whispered Lin Feng. Those people who had left were attacking the palace. Since they couldn't defeat Lin Feng, and since they couldn't do anything interesting in the palace, they wanted to destroy it while Lin Feng was still inside. Lin Feng raised his hands and broke a gigantic piece of wall, which was falling above his head. The demon palace was already starting to collapse. Boom! Terrifying explosions sounded, and Lin Feng could sense the terrifyingly oppressive energies all around him. Then, he saw a silhouette enter the palace hall. It was Qing Ming Xian. Why hadn't she left already? Come here, said Lin Feng to Qing Ming Xian. Her silhouette flickered, and she arrived next to Lin Feng. Lin Feng controlled the demon slaves around them to hold up the walls of the hall. Lin Feng turned around and looked at the thread of consciousness left by Netherworld Demon Emperor. Then he shouted, "Come in." The Emperor's thread of consciousness turned into a light, which penetrated into Lin Feng's godly awareness. Boom, boom, boom. Finally the hall collapsed. Lin Feng could already see many people above him, a bunch of Zoom cultivators. Many of them had been in the demon palace before, and had left upset. "Are you dead or alive?" shouted the crowd when they saw the demon slaves in the middle of the ruins. The 9 Netherworlds demonic song had influenced so many people, and it had killed just as many. "Are you blind?" asked Lin Feng, glancing at those people. "How conceited. You think that because you killed a few low-level Zoom cultivators, you're stronger than everyone else? What treasure did you find that made you break through to the 9th Tianqi layer?" said that cultivator. He was a cultivator of the 4th Zunqi layer. "The Netherworld Demon Emperor's imperial treasures. If you want them, come and get them," said Lin Feng, releasing terrifying demonic intent. His demonic energies also contained cursing energies. "You're acting recklessly. Since it's that way, you'll have to die," said that cultivator. He turned into a whirlwind and descended from the sky towards Lin Feng. His gray whirlwind turned into a gigantic blade, which moved towards Lin Feng. He was using wind abstruse energies, and his wind abstruse energies were level 4. "Die," said Lin Feng. His demonic chi rose to the skies. His eyes were pitch black, ice cold, filled with murder. Then, he threw himself at the enemy. The opponent was surprised. Lin Feng's demonic energies had corroded his fighting determination. "Wind wounds lacerate," shouted that cultivator furiously. Sharp winds moved towards Lin Feng, lacerating the space around them on their way. Qing Ming Xian raised her head. She looked terrified. "Kacha," the ground cracked. It was difficult to look at his attacks, however. Lin Feng wasn't affected. He dodged the attack, which then landed a few millimeters away from him. At the same time, the cultivator of the 4th Zunqi layer also landed in front of Lin Feng. "Can you take my life?" asked Lin Feng, jumping towards him. Demonic lights emerged from his eyes. His opponent was caught off guard. Lin Feng's demonic intent was affecting his determination. It seemed to be losing his sight. However, even though he could barely stand it, he didn't close his eyes. Blood dripped from his eyes from the struggle. "Curse," said Lin Feng. The ground shook as more cracks appeared. Cursing energies emerged from his eyes and fused together with his enemy's soul. "Kneel down," shouted Lin Feng furiously. He could sense that his enemy's soul was affected, and that he was going to kneel down. "No," shouted the cultivator furiously. Surprisingly, a cultivator of the Tianqi layer was making him kneel down. "Kneel down," shouted Lin Feng again. That Zoom cultivator started trembling. He didn't feel like fighting anymore. Even a cultivator of the 4th Zunqi layer couldn't resist Lin Feng's cursing and demonic energies together. Die, said Lin Feng. He stopped playing with his opponent. His demonic and cursing energies were strong, but he couldn't completely control a cultivator of the 4th Zunqi layer. He could damage their determination. Lin Feng punched his opponent square in the face. A cultivator of the 9th Tianqi layer could easily destroy a cultivator of the 4th Zunqi layer? There's a new beast in the Bahuang province. With the strength of the Tianqi layer, he can defeat Zun cultivators. He could probably be considered one of the 10 strongest young cultivators in the Bahuang province. A black mage has appeared in this small world. Imagine if he fought against Lin Feng. Who would be stronger? Thought many people. Even though Lin Feng knew some demonic spells, he didn't have those demonic eyes. Besides, Lin Feng was a sword cultivator. That cultivator used magic and demon intent. Chapter 1283. Demon Flute. He's also a cultivator of the Tianqi layer and surprisingly, he's infinitely stronger than me, thought Qing Meng Xian. When she first met him, she didn't think he would be that strong. She didn't even consider it possible. She had thought that Lin Feng would only be slightly stronger than her. But now she understood that there was a huge difference between them. At that moment, the silhouettes of the dead bodies around Lin Feng flickered. Hadn't those people turned into demon slaves because of the Netherworld Demon Emperor song? How come they were now safe and sound? Lin Feng proudly glanced at the crowd and pulled Qing Meng Xian aside. He didn't say anything. He had already proved that he was strong enough to be there. He had managed to kill a cultivator of the 4th Zunqi layer easily, but maybe he could also defeat cultivators of the 5th Zunqi layer. Therefore, nobody wanted to gamble by trying to attack him. Black mages were very mysterious cultivators. They were a symbol of power. Nobody knew who Lin Feng really was, but with his terrifying powers, he could definitely be a cultivator from the Devamara Palace, or maybe the descendant of a powerful, mysterious, and secret Peerless cultivator. Let's destroy the Netherworld Demon Emperor's cultivation room and see if there are any treasures, said someone. They descended from the sky and landed on the ruins. Everything was dust and stones now. They saw no treasures. It can't be. There cannot only be a thread of consciousness left by the Netherworld Demon Emperor, said someone. Maybe I should have done the same as Jun Emoshi and the Tang Yu and the others. Maybe I should have gone abroad, thought Qing Meng Xian. She was starting to regret her decision to stay. Maybe she would see Lin Feng, Jun Emoshi and the others again someday. Let's attack at the same time, said a cultivator at the top of the Zunqi layer. Then they all rose up in the air together, condensing energies. Listen to me, when I say attack, we attack at the same time, said the cultivator at the top of the Zunqi layer. A sun appeared in his hand and flames appeared around his body. Attack! Shouted that cultivator. A gigantic sun rose up in the air and fell down on the demon palace. Slash slash. The sun chi cleansed the area, burning away everything. When the effects from the attack settled, all the ruins had disappeared. There's something, the crowd yelled. Deep in the pit, there was a black flute covered with dust. It looked like junk at first. Boom! A terrifying absorbing strength sword and the flute rose up in the air, toward someone. Show it to me, shouted a cultivator at the top of the Zunqi layer, furiously jumping forwards. He landed in front of the one who had taken the black flute and released fire energies. Slash! A sharp wind surrounded the black flute and made it fly away. The fire had burnt the hand of the one who had tried to take it. How shameless! Shouted the cultivator at the top of the Zunqi layer. He jumped forwards and released more fire. The one who had tried to take the flute before was sad. Actually, his face had turned deathly pale. He didn't dare fight against that strong cultivator. The fire cultivator at the top of the Zunqi layer didn't have time to pay attention to them anymore. He continued flying towards the black flute, but a gigantic hand appeared in the sky and attempted to grab the flute. Move away! Shouted an aggressive voice. The gigantic hand collided with the fire hand that Zun cultivator had created. The energies created by the collision made the flute fly even farther away. Slash! the black flute fell down far off in the distance. The crowd was staring at it, and at Lin Feng, who took 2 steps towards it. The flute had appeared in front of him. "If someone dares touch it, I'll kill them," shouted the strong cultivator, who had attacked the fire hand a moment before. He was also a cultivator at the top of the Zunqi layer. People appeared behind him. The leader was a young man wearing a long robe, and had a bestial look. "The Netherworld Demon Emperor's jade flute," whispered the young man, staring at Lin Feng. "Bzzz." Someone continued running towards the flute. But at that moment, he realized he wasn't the only one running at it. "Dull and stupid, do you want to die?" The cultivator at the top of the Zunqi layer shook his hand, and terrifying marks appeared. The other cultivator gave a horrible shriek. Then his body exploded and he died. Holy marks were imbued in that attack. The crowd was astonished. That cultivator could use holy marks to attack. "I'm interested in that jade flute," said the young man running towards the flute. The other people said nothing. That was a strong cultivator from the Xikong clan, a Zoom cultivator. The young man was one of the 10 strongest young cultivators from Bahuang, Xikong Xiao. Lin Feng looked at Xikong Xiao and lowered his head, looking at the jade flute. His eyes were filled with demonic energies when suddenly the flute shook. It was as if the flute had been calling him. The music resonated in Lin Feng's heart. The 9 Netherworld's demonic song. Demon flute, that was probably the Netherworld Demon Emperor's flute, thought Lin Feng. From the conversation Yan Di and the Netherworld Demon Emperor had, Lin Feng understood that the Netherworld Demon Emperor was the only one who knew the 9 Netherworld's demonic song. Lin Feng crouched down, everybody watched him. Xikong Xiao looked at him aggressively and said, "Try and touch it. See what happens." Lin Feng stopped moving, for only a second. Then, he continued stretching out his hand, slowly towards the demon flute. Then he took it. The flute was calling Lin Feng. As Lin Feng took it, an ice-cold qi surrounded him. Chapter 1284. Technique Xikong clan wasn't the only one surprised, everybody was. They all looked at him in a strange way. If Xikong clan had been alone, the crowd wouldn't have been surprised. After all, that cultivator probably wasn't any weaker than the 10 strongest young cultivators of Bahuang. However, some strong cultivators from the Xikong clan were with him. Offending Xikong Xiao was the same as offending the Xikong clan. Lin Feng turned his head around and looked at Xikong Xiao. Then, he immediately put the flute in his ring. In that entire palace, there was only one flute. The crowd didn't know that Lin Feng had also obtained some kind of special energy. However, even if there was only one item, it belonged to the Netherworld Demon Emperor, and his item couldn't be useless. "Give it to me," said Xikong Xiao. His eyes slowly became strange and bestial. Strange energies were revolving inside his eyes. The celestial vision, the Xikong clan's celestial vision. The crowd recognized them. The Xikong clan's blood spirit was a pair of eyes. However, only 3 people possessed the celestial vision, apart from the Emperor Xikong. Xikong Xiao was one of them, and he had the exact same celestial eyes and vision as the Emperor. The crowd became even more excited when they saw that Xikong Xiao was using his celestial vision. His opponent was a black mage of the 9th Tianqi layer, who also had a demon vision ability. Even though they didn't really understand what kind of technique that was, they had seen what he did to a cultivator of the 4th Zunqi layer with it. Maybe, it was one of the strongest ocular techniques of the continent. Celestial vision. Lin Feng had the feeling his eyes were going to be damaged if he looked at Xikong Zhao's eyes. Lin Feng's eyes turned pitch black and ice-cold as demonic intent emerged from them. "Break!" Xikong Zhao's voice resonated in Lin Feng's brain. It was as if Xikong Xiao and Lin Feng were alone in another world. Lin Feng had released demonic intent with his eyes, but Xikong Zhao's eyes broke that apart. "Die," said Lin Feng. His voice resonated in Xikong Zhao's heart. It was as if the demonic energies were corroding him from the inside out. Lights emerged from his celestial eyes. It was as if time had stopped. At least, time was passing a lot slower. Xikong Zhao's strength then broke the demon energies. That's the power of the celestial vision, thought Lin Feng. Not only could the celestial vision lacerate the sky, it could also see through things. Some people said that Sikong Zhao's abstruse energies were fission and speed abstruse energies. Lin Feng didn't know what kind of special body he had, or the powers it granted him. But he enjoyed learning how to do things with his own strength. Interesting, said a voice in Lin Feng, and Sikong Zhao's brains while laughing indifferently. They saw a third, maybe a fourth pair of eyes. Then a fifth people were fixedly staring at them. Illusional eyes Mu Fanchen, shouted Sikong Zhao. Lin Feng's demonic vision, and Sikong Zhao's celestial vision dispersed. Mu Fanchen, from the magic world Heavenly Palace, was next to them. Another one of the 10 strongest young cultivators. Illusion eyes, is that a type of spell? Whispered Lin Feng. That technique also involved using the eyes. Those people had already broken through to the Zunqi layer, so they could all defeat cultivators who were stronger than them. According to the diviner, though, Qi Tiansheng and Bai Qiu Luo were the weakest ones amongst the 10 strongest young cultivators. I wouldn't have thought that someone would dare use an eye technique against Sikong Zhao, said Mu Fanchen, looking at Lin Feng and smiling. You also want to try, said Sikong Zhao to Mu Fanchen. A layer of energy emerged from their eyes as they looked at each other. I saw the Demon Emperor's treasure too, so if you can try and steal it, then I can too, said Mu Fanchen, smiling indifferently. However, at that moment, a girl laughed and another person arrived. Her eyes alone made people feel like kneeling down before her. Yiren Lei from the Heavens of Desire's palace. This is getting really interesting, thought the crowd. There were 3 incredible cultivators. Mu Fanchen, Yiren Lei, etc., who had powerful families, and then the black mage whose social status was unknown. I like music. I would be so happy if I had that flute, said Yiren Lei, smiling thinly. She was trying to seduce everyone for the flute. Even though I have a celestial qi, I could also use that flute, said Mu Fanchen. He was the most resistant to Yiren Lei's seduction spells. After all, he was also an illusion cultivator himself. Yiren Lei, if you accept to become my girlfriend, I'll be happy to steal the flute and give it to you as a gift, said Sikong clan, smiling thinly. Master Sikong, you're the future of the Sikong clan. I don't think I deserve to be with someone as wonderful as you, said Yiren Lei, smiling thinly. They were all laughing and smiling, but nobody was willing to give up the jade flute. Sikong Zhao's eyes twinkled, then he glanced at them and said, Since it's that way, let's agree on something. Agree on what? Said Mu Fanchen, smiling. Yiren Lei looked at him too. The 3 of us, let's join hands, and the first one to kill him gets the jade flute, said Sikong Zhao, pointing at Lin Feng. Even though 4 people wanted to get the flute, in Sikong Zhao's eyes, there were only 3. Even though Lin Feng's vision wasn't that bad, he had only broken through to the 9th Tianqi layer. Chapter 1285. 3 beasts battle. The one who would kill Lin Feng first would get the jade flute. Those who weren't strong and didn't have a powerful background should die. Sikong Zhao didn't rely on his reputation as one of the 10 strongest young cultivators of Ba Huang to steal treasures. He also relied on the strong cultivators who were with him. He had even brought some cultivators at the top of the Zunqi layer who would dare oppose him. Mu Fanchen and Yiren Lei were the same. They hadn't come alone either. They had also brought strong cultivators from the magic world, Heavenly Palace, and the Heavens of Desire's palace. 3 powerful groups, while Lin Feng was alone. And on top of that, he only had the strength of the Tianqi layer. I agree, said Mu Fanchen, smiling indifferently. Maybe it was the easiest way to solve the issue. That way, the people who were with them didn't need to be involved. Since you both agree, I have no choice. I agree too, said Yiren Lei, smiling at Lin Feng in a seducing way. She felt sorry for him, but she hoped Lin Feng wouldn't blame her. Lin Feng's eyes were filled with demonic energies. If Yiren Lei agreed with them, it meant they were going to attack now. Bzzz. An illusion appeared, and Lin Feng thought he was in another world. He saw that he was stuck in a cage, and that sword energies were moving towards him, towards his throat. That's the power of the illusional eyes. Suddenly, It was as if a demonic god appeared behind Lin Feng. It was pitch black, especially his eyes. The sword lights which were moving towards him immediately disappeared, as if they had never existed. Slash! Another pair of eyes appeared in the illusion, the celestial vision. The atmosphere around Lin Feng became distorted. He suddenly felt like his body was being ripped apart. Those four people were in an illusion together. From outside, it looked like those four were just standing there, not moving at all. However, their eyes looked terrifying. Die! Shouted Sikong Xiao furiously. Deadly energies emerged from his eyes and moved towards Lin Feng. Using illusion techniques against someone who has demonic eyes is ridiculous, said Lin Feng. Then demonic energies rolled in waves in front of him. Godly curse. Lin Feng was suddenly bathing in cursing strength. He wasn't trying to curse other people this time. He was cursing himself to come back to his senses. Bzzz. The illusion disappeared, leaving Mu Fanchen surprised. Demonic eyes could break illusion spells? Another genius, said Run Lei, smiling in a resplendent way. She couldn't help but recall Lin Feng. This reminded her that she couldn't be arrogant on the path of cultivation. The 10 strongest young cultivators of Ba Huang would continue to see new and powerful opponents. Lin Feng's demonic vision granted him special powers that she didn't know about. He could destroy illusion spells, and could prevent her from seducing him with her seduction spells. Boom! Lin Feng jumped forwards while he raising his fists. His demon fists were aimed at Ren Lei and Mu Fanchen at the same time, while Lin Feng himself ran towards Sikong Xiao. You want to die? Shouted Sikong Xiao. At the same time, he also jumped forwards, cutting everything in front of him down with his celestial vision. Lin Feng was fixedly staring at his eyes with his demonic eyes. The energies from the 9 netherworlds were visible in those demon eyes, so Sikong Xiao could feel his celestial vision being corroded. A thin black layer had appeared around his eyes. Die! Shouted Lin Feng furiously. His voice created sound waves ahead of him. It was as if 2 demons were staring down at him. The energies they emitted pierced through Sikong Xiao's eyes painfully. Break! Shouted Sikong Xiao furiously, closing his eyes. He landed in front of Lin Feng and punched the air in front of him. Body curse. Lin Feng's cursing and demonic energies intertwined. This time, he was cursing his own body, while turning the demonic energies on himself, trying to create an indestructible body. Fission abstruse energies crashed onto Lin Feng, but it didn't affect him. Destructive curse. Lin Feng punched the air in Sikong Xiao's direction as well. Demonic qi rose to the skies as his punch contained a terrifying amount of demon qi and cursing abstruse energies. They glanced at each other. Lin Feng's cursing energies first spread through Sikong Xiao's body, making him feel weak. At the same time, terrifying empty space and demonic energy invaded Sikong Xiao's arm. Boom boom boom! A terrifying collision occurred. Both Lin Feng and Sikong Xiao were thrown backwards. Lin Feng's arm was shaking, his fist was bleeding. Sikong Xiao had used fission abstruse energies to break Lin Feng's spell, and his fission abstruse energies were already level 3. Even though Lin Feng had cast a cursing spell on himself, he had almost lost his arm. However, Sikong Xiao wasn't feeling any better. His arm was hanging loose and his bones were crushed. His face turned deathly pale. What infuriated him the most though was that Lin Feng was relatively safe. He was just bleeding a little. Sikong Xiao has been defeated. The crowd was surprised. Even while fighting 3 people at the same time, he had won the battle, forcing Sikong Xiao to close his eyes. Ren Lei and Mu Fanchen didn't take advantage of the situation to attack Lin Feng. He had already proven how strong he was by pushing Sikong Xiao back with his punch. Even if they attacked Lin Feng, they couldn't defeat him. Sikong Xiao, who's one of the 10 strongest young cultivators, isn't that strong after all, said Lin Feng smiling. He had made fun of Qi Tian Sheng not so long before, and now a Tian-level cultivator was making fun of him, even injuring his celestial vision. Boom! People behind Sikong Xiao released some of their own qi, but Sikong Xiao shouted, "Stop!" Sikong Xiao then rose up in the and said, "Nobody can attack." Chapter 1286. Give it back. Sikong Xiao is furious, thought the crowd. He was one of the 10 strongest young cultivators, and he was a descendant of the Sikong clan. Now, a Tian-level cultivator had defeated him and humiliated him. He couldn't stand it. Mu Fanchun waved his hand as to indicate that he didn't want to attack. Actually, when Lin Feng released those 2 punches in Mu Fanchun and Yi Runlei's directions, they blocked the attack, but didn't continue fighting. They wanted to see how strong Lin Feng was. Let's see how strong you really are, said Sikong Xiao to Lin Feng. They had just fought for a few minutes before, so it didn't prove that he was any less than Lin Feng, but it proved that Lin Feng wasn't that weak. You'll see, said Lin Feng, then he rose up in the air. Where are you going? Sikong Xiao also rose up in the air. They weren't fighting yet, but she was already dashing to the skies. Celestial vision territory, said Sikong Xiao. Everything in front of his eyes became strangely distorted. Territorial strength. Sikong Xiao had immediately used territorial strength to fight, not underestimating Lin Feng at all. Lin Feng glanced at the empty space and slightly raised his hands. He found that he was moving slower in that space. Celestial vision territory. Speed abstruse energies, sighed Lin Feng. It reminded him of what the diviner had told Sikong Xiao in Fortune City. Celestial eyes, you can definitely become an average emperor. Even an upper emperor if you fight for it. Besides, Sikong Xiao had been shot with a golden arrow. Considering the diviner's predictions, Sikong Xiao was at the top of the list of the 10 strongest young cultivators of Ba Huang. The diviner's predictions for Sikong Xiao were similar to those for Wen Tiange. They both seemed stronger than Mu Fanchun. The diviner had said that Mu Fanchun would need to be extremely lucky if he wanted to become a high-level emperor. Lin Feng guessed the best cultivators from the list of the 10 strongest young cultivators were Kongming the Buddhist monk, Sikong Xiao, and Wen Tiange. The diviner had also predicted that Mo Peng could become a medium-level emperor. But because of his temper, because he considered everybody and everything beneath him, he couldn't excel beyond that. Of course, Yi Runlei couldn't be underestimated either. She just had to change some things on her path of cultivation. Die! Shouted Sikong Xiao furiously. He moved with incredible speed towards Lin Feng and released fission abstruse energies. Piss off! Shouted Lin Feng furiously, looking like a demon god. Empty space energies rolled in waves, and at the same time, Lin Feng's fist hand reached Sikong Xiao. Slash! Sharp lights emerged from Sikong Xiao's celestial eyes, slowing the demonic hand. Break! Shouted Sikong Xiao, punching the demonic hand and breaking it. Sikong Xiao continued running towards Lin Feng, while releasing fission energies, which seemingly became even more terrifying. Arg! Lin Feng roared like a demon. It was troublesome, inside the celestial vision territory. He was too fast. Lin Feng also knew a demonic territory spell, but he didn't want to use it, because he was scared that he would be recognized. After all, he had used that demonic territory attack against Qi Tiansheng and Shui Bai Yao before. Sikong Xiao! Shouted Lin Feng furiously. Sikong Xiao looked at him mistakenly, looking deep into Lin Feng's pitch-black pupils. Die! Said Lin Feng. Demonic intent emerged from his eyes and drowned Sikong Xiao, who was struggling to keep his vision. His eyes were sore, and his celestial vision territory spell weakened. However, Sikong Xiao groaned coldly and forced his blood to boil. I'll show you the real strength of the celestial vision, said Sikong Xiao. He closed his eyes and then sounds were heard. Lights emerged from his body and came together to form 2 dazzling eyes. A pair of celestial eyes appeared above. Suddenly, Lin Feng had the sensation that the space was becoming even more chaotic. Celestial vision spirit. The crowd was astonished. It's as if my legs and hands are tied up. It's really unpleasant, whispered Lin Feng. Then he smiled indifferently and took out the demonic flute. Take it, said Lin Feng, throwing the demon flute at Sikong Xiao. Sikong Xiao continued staring at him and stopped attacking. Then he threw himself at the flute. Bees is easy. Lin Feng turned into a blast of wind and disappeared. At the same time, many strong cultivators threw themselves at the flute. Strong cultivators from the Seekong clan, the Magic World, Heavenly Palace, and the Heavens of Desire's Palace. Qingming Xian also escaped. She was feeling a bit sad, because Lin Feng had already disappeared. He had left her an incredible impression, changing her vision on cultivation completely. She knew that Lin Feng had defeated Seekong Xiao, but he couldn't take the flute because of those three powerful groups. The earth and sky seemed to be collapsing and sky raining blood. The battle was tragic, but in the air, it was still Seekong Xiao who obtained the flute. He glanced at Yi Runlei and Mu Fanshen and said, "Let's not fight over the flute any longer." Mu Fanshen and Yi Runlei looked at the strong cultivators around them. The qi was overwhelming. There were many corpses on the ground already. "Since you like it, you can have it," said Yi Runlei smiling. She didn't even know if it was that useful, but fighting Seekong Xiao for it was pointless. Mu Fanshen glanced at Yi Runlei, smiled and also said, "You can have it then, Seekong Xiao, I won't take it." "All right, thank you," said Seekong Xiao smiling indifferently. He put the flute in his ring and gazed into the distance. There were some dazzling swords approaching. Jiang's people. Seekong Xiao frowned. Yi Runlei and Mu Fanshen also looked surprised. Was Jiang going to cause trouble? Terrifying sword energies whistled. The leader of the group was wearing a white robe. He looked confident and at ease. It was Lin Feng. Initially, Qingming Xian wanted to leave, but then she saw Lin Feng. She stopped. "That was Lin Feng." "Lin Feng," shouted Yi Runlei. "Yi Runlei, I trust you have been doing well since we last met," said Lin Feng smiling. "I'm all right, I missed you," said Yi Runlei smiling yet sounding a bit sad. "Master Seekong, I'm interested in the item you just obtained. Give it to me," said Lin Feng indifferently. Everybody was astonished. The crowd suddenly looked excited again. Chapter 1287. Lin Feng vs. Seekong Xiao. Seekong Xiao had forced the black mage to hand over the flute, and in the end, the black mage had given it to him. And finally, when the crowd thought that Seekong Xiao would keep the flute for himself, Lin Feng arrived with Jiang's strongest cultivators. Lin Feng and the black mage were different. Lin Feng had come with strong cultivators from Jiang'a. Even without them, Lin Feng had already amazed people and possessed Emperor Wu Tianjian's sword. Since emperors couldn't come to Shuiyu, with his social status in Shuiyu, Lin Feng was stronger than all those influential imperial groups. Lin Feng was standing in the sky and looking down at Seekong clan in a disdainful way. For the Seekong clan, the fact that Lin Feng was asking Seekong Xiao to hand over the flute was a humiliation. He's as incredible as the rumors say. He killed Qi Tiansheng and Bai Qiu Luo. Now he's looking at Seekong Xiao in a disdainful way, thought many people who were looking at Lin Feng. Seekong Xiao raised his head and said indifferently, "Lin Feng, the flute is now mine. Don't you think asking me for it is a bit ridiculous?" "Surround him," said Lin Feng. In a flash, the strong cultivators from Jiang'a surrounded the Seekong clan and oppressed them with terrifying energies. The crowd was astonished. Lin Feng was even more aggressive than Seekong clan. How could they know that the black mage and Lin Feng were the same person? Lin Feng couldn't give up the flute, therefore. He had first fought Seekong Xiao as a black mage to see how strong Seekong Xiao was. "You just stole the demon flute from someone else. Since it's that way, I can also steal it from you. It's not an item which initially belonged to the Seekong clan," said Lin Feng calmly. He didn't sound arrogant at all, but he still gave that different impression to people. "Therefore you have 10 seconds, said Lin Feng smiling. If Seekong Xiao didn't hand over the demon flute, what would happen? Besides, no matter if the strong cultivators from Jiang'a attacked or not, if Lin Feng unsheathed Emperor Wu Tianjian's sword, nobody would be left. "Brother Lin, why act like that?" said Seekong Xiao. It sounded so fake when he said Brother Lin. 8 seconds, said Lin Feng, still sounding nonchalant. "You're not the only one who has an imperial weapon," said Seekong Xiao. 6 seconds, said Lin Feng. The crowd was impatient to see what would happen. "Brother Lin, we are not at the end of our lives yet. In the future, we'll meet again," said Sikong Xiao. 3 seconds left, replied Lin Feng, this time releasing some qi. At the same time, the strong cultivators from Jiang'a also released some whistling sword qi. When Sikong Xiao saw that Lin Feng had ignored him again, he smiled indifferently and said, "Since you want it that much, I'll give it to you." 1 second, said Lin Feng. At the same time, Sikong Xiao threw the flute at Lin Feng. The flute turned into a sharp sword, and as it flew at Lin Feng, "Thank you very much, Master Sikong," said Lin Feng, grabbing the flute indifferently and put it in his ring. Sikong Xiao is quite strong, thought Lin Feng. Sikong Xiao didn't look as angry as when he was facing the black mage. He also didn't release any qi. He remained calm, because he knew how the cultivation world worked. When facing the black mage, he knew he could win thanks to his clan, but against Lin Feng, his group was weaker. "I know that you're an incredible cultivator. You even defeated Long Tongue from Tianlong Divine Castle and Qi Tiansheng from the Qi clan. I've always wanted to exchange views on cultivation with you. What do you think about exchanging a few attacks?" asked Sikong Xiao. He had given Lin Feng the flute, and now he was asking to exchange a few attacks. "That would be an honor and a pleasure," said Lin Feng, smiling. Even though no treasures were involved, seeing two incredible cultivators fight was always a pleasure. "Thank you very much, Brother Lin," said Sikong Xiao. Then, he jumped forwards and released whistling qi towards Lin Feng. His qi was completely different. His celestial vision turned into a beam which distorted the space around it. Lin Feng smiled thinly and closed his eyes. He released threads of godly awareness. Even though his eyes were closed, he could still see the surroundings and wouldn't be affected by the celestial vision. "Celestial vision territory!" shouted Sikong Xiao. A territory appeared, and the space became even more distorted. "Die!" shouted Sikong Xiao, raising his hands. Beams of light appeared and pierced through the territory. Lin Feng didn't look at it. He simply released sword and thunder energies in his hands. Boom! Sikong Xiao jumped forwards. He punched the air in Lin Feng's direction, causing rumbling sounds to be heard. "Break!" shouted Lin Feng. His sword streaked across the sky as he used his desolate Xana attack. "Slow," said Sikong Xiao. The distorted space slowed Lin Feng's sword down and fission abstruse energies crashed onto the sword lights. Sikong Xiao's fist was faster as it pierced through Lin Feng's sword lights. "What an incredible attack," thought the crowd, sighing. Lin Feng's sword lights faded and even dispersed as they colliding with Sikong Xiao's fist. "Demonic destruction territory," said Lin Feng. He suddenly opened his eyes and instantly lights emerged from them. He wanted to injure Sikong Xiao's visual attack. At the same time, he released restrictive energies which surrounded Sikong Xiao. Now his fist could barely move forwards. Boom! Lin Feng jumped ahead while releasing demonic thunderous energies capable of blotting out the sky. Sikong Xiao's facial expression changed drastically as he condensed some force to block the attack. "Lacerate," said Lin Feng. "Slow." Boom, boom, boom. A trail was left behind the sword qi. Sikong Xiao's fist and the sword qi collided. The space around them became even more distorted. Sikong Xiao was propelled back of a few thousand meters, and his fist was bleeding. Chapter 1288. Tang Yuyu's news, demonic qi rising to the skies, an ever-conquering sword. Sikong Xiao lost again, thought the crowd, astonished. Sikong Xiao was already very strong with his celestial vision, territorial attack, his fission and speed abstruse energies. If Lin Feng didn't have his demonic territory and his incredible demonic qi, he might have lost. Sikong Xiao had lost twice that day, so now he was using his blood to recover. But the two battles were different. Sikong Xiao wasn't afraid of the black mage, but against Lin Feng, he had to be very careful. Sikong Xiao smiled at Lin Feng and said, "Brother Lin, you're an extraordinary cultivator. It's normal that Qi Tiansheng lost against you. I'm off now." Then Sikong Xiao left. He didn't look unhappy at all. At the meeting of the emperors, We'll fight again, brother Lin, said Sikong Xiao from very far away. Lin Feng raised his head and looked at Sikong Xiao in the horizon. He noticed that Sikong Xiao had turned his head and that dazzling lights were flashing in his eyes. Lin Feng looked at him. He wasn't satisfied. His facial expression was the same as Sikong Xiao. His eyes were filled with sharp lights. It was different from his battle against Qi Tiansheng. Lin Feng had now broken through to the 9th Tianqi layer. And yet Sikong Xiao still posed a threat to him. His fission and speed abstruse energies were scary. Besides, Lin Feng knew that Sikong Xiao had other hidden skills that he would use only in case of a battle to death. The meeting of the emperors? Whispered Lin Feng. He didn't know what the meeting of the emperors was. Would it attract all the emperors of Bahuang? Mu Fanchen looked at Lin Feng in a deep and meaningful way. Then his silhouette flickered and he left. Back in Fortune City, he hadn't paid too much attention to Lin Feng. He only started paying attention to Lin Feng when the diviner said that he wanted to recruit Lin Feng as a disciple. Then after that, Lin Feng had continually amazed the province. Prince Lin, you're amazing, said Renlei, smiling in a seducing way. I really don't deserve so much praise, Renlei, said Lin Feng, smiling. Renlei shook her head and said, I remember when I tried to defeat you with a song, but it didn't work and now I'm too weak. Amongst the 10 strongest young cultivators, nobody can defeat you anymore, said Renlei, not hiding the fact that she had tried to defeat him back then. Renlei, you're so gorgeous. If you continue flattering me, I'm going to lose my mind, said Lin Feng jokingly. Renlei smiled and looked at Lin Feng. She even looked a bit shy. She then said in a gentle way, If you think I'm that gorgeous, why not consider you and I getting together? Kamadhatu, the 6 heavens of desire and passion. Lin Feng grinded his teeth and released demonic energies. Are you trying to defeat me using your spell again? Said Lin Feng, smiling wryly. Why do you think it's not the truth? Said Renlei, smiling. Then, she smiled proudly and said, All right, I'm off. If I continue to stay here, I'll just annoy you. Then Renlei left, and all the girls from the Heavens of Desire's palace followed her. She's so incredible, but why did she choose that kind of cultivation? Whispered Lin Feng. If she continued on that path, she'd just become an ordinary cultivator. Lin Feng walked towards Qingmeng Xian and smiled in a gentle way. Long time no see. Qingmeng Xian looked at him shyly. She was so happy to see him again, but she felt awkward too, because he was so strong and she felt so weak. Long time no see, said Qingmeng Xian shyly yet smiling. Even though Lin Feng still seemed warm and friendly as before, she still remembered how terrifying and aggressive he was when he fought Sikong Xiao a moment before. How's Lanjiao? Asked Lin Feng, smiling. Qingmeng Xian looked at him in a strange way. Then she smiled and said, If she knew that Lin Feng, who could now kill Zun cultivators, still remembered her, she'd be extremely happy. Back then we were all together. Even if we didn't see each other a lot, I still remember everyone. No matter their cultivation level, my friends are my friends, said Lin Feng, raising his head and gazing into the distance. Maybe you can think that way, but I can't, especially when facing an extremely strong cultivator like you, said Qingmeng Xian, smiling wryly. How are Jun Emoshi and Tang Yu? Jun Emoshi is all right. He's become the young master of the celestial palace of the immortals. And Yu, I don't know, I still wonder, sighed Lin Feng. Young master of the celestial palace of the immortals. Qingmeng Xian was astonished. Jun Emoshi had become the young master of a celestial palace, and she still admired ordinary Zun cultivators. What's wrong with Yu? She was kidnapped and disappeared. I was wondering, did she appear in Dragon Mountain? Qingmeng Xian's eyes twinkled as she said, I know some things happened at the Tang clan recently. I don't know if they have any contact with her though. Really? Asked Lin Feng. Lin Feng knew he was overreacting. What happened at the Tangs? I'm not sure. It wasn't a long time ago. Then I heard that strong cultivators had appeared in Shuiyu, so I came, and I was surprised when I saw all this, said Qingmeng Xian. Emperors, great emperors. She had never thought she'd ever see such terrifying cultivators. Maybe I should go back to Dragon Mountain when I'm done in Shuiyu, thought Lin Feng. that you're tuning in to the Lime's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support. And don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.